Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl.
Dope. Sorry.
Oh, I just heard myself.
That was me. Sorry.
It's okay. It's good that you did that. That way we seem, I hope nobody will think that we're inauthentic, because there's been a lot of inauthentic things going on now, and that's a problem.
Yeah, seems very authentic.
We're very authentic. I worry because I start this stream in the same way every time, and I worry that somebody's going to be like, "Oh, like it's the same stream every time." No, I just introduce the name of the stream. Otherwise, we're very, very authentic people. Myself, Professor R2, and even a friend of the channel, Istophobos, who's joined us today.
Even Istophobos. I try to be.
Our mouths move and everything. See, we're authentic.
Yeah, exactly. Istophobos has a cigar.
I have a polar bear glow about me.
Exactly. So people just don't appreciate us. But in any case,
one day
we have a lot of interesting things to discuss today. First of all, I have a confession. I forgot to press the button, and I think it's too late. I forgot to press the button that also streams on Locals. Now, for those who don't know, on Locals, that's a platform that we have one viewer, and I feel like I've disappointed whoever that viewer is. I don't know the viewer. I don't know who he is, but we've disappointed him, and I am very, very sorry about that. I'll be better at pressing that button next time. I think that once the stream starts, I can't fix it. So whoever that local was, the local on Locals, is going to have to find our stream somewhere else. In any case, it is great to be here, and I think that probably both Professor R2 and Istophobos are very surprised to learn that I saw The Devil Wears Prada 2 today.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that you would be watching, being a male, masculine man. But I it takes all kinds. So,
well, I mean, first of all, I'm a movie reviewer, and the other thing is it's a Disney production. So usually when Disney releases something, just for the fact that I want to be able to review it, I try to see what I can. I also have one of those passes that I could see a lot of movies, so it's worth it for me. Something new came out. I want to see if it's good or not. I actually saw another movie this week you're gonna be shocked that I watched The Devil Wears Prada and this other movie in the same week. It's like an overload of not my cup of tea movies.
Well, Disney's going to be glad to own this one because it's going to be one of the few times they make money this year. So,
and it's it's not the amazing communist holiday May Day yet. So I know you haven't been watching the fake knockoff version of Animal Farm.
Yeah,
I know that
Animal Fake.
I haven't watched that yet. I mean, I'm kind of.
It doesn't come out until tomorrow, May Day, the communist holiday.
Yeah.
You know what's really strange? There were a few times in the past that Angel Studios had reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to watch this movie since you review stuff?" I've had that happen a number of times in the past. This time, nobody reached out to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, I don't know what's going on with Angel Studios and that movie, man. I don't know who pulled the wool over whose eyes or who got tricked or what, but they're trying real hard to convince people that this is a true adaptation of the original book when it's already been made painfully obvious that it is not.
Yeah, well,
if Tucker Carlson is out there shilling for this, that's all you need to know.
Didn't Andy Serkis said we just tried to take the politics out of Animal Farm, which is a completely 100% political book, but they didn't take the politics out, they inverted it. So
yeah, that is strange.
It's now just anti-capitalist instead of anti-communist.
Yep.
Price, may I beg your indulgence for a moment since Ron's in the audience?
Sure.
So you were doing the Galactica stream earlier. When I was watching the show when it came out, I noticed that the yoke of the Viper has 3 buttons. One's turbo, the one's fire, and in the middle it says IM. And when they hit that, they get reverse thrusters. And I actually wrote the production design. So Ralph McQuarrie and Joe Johnston did most of the designer. But it was Richard Davis who was the production designer. I wrote him to ask him what IM stood for, and he wrote me back.
And what did you write?
Well, I thought it stood for Immelmann, which is from a World War I term, a German pilot where you loop because you go backwards. No, it just stands for inverse maneuver. And that's top tier trivia. You're not going to hear very many places. But I thought it was so cool. He actually bothered to write me back. And that made my year, man.
Well, I'm doing some interesting banners here. See, we can look at different things. We have that guy on Twitch. We have the one guy on Twitch.
That's me at the moment.
Oh, I see. And I guess we have a whopping 0 people on Kick. To be fair, I just started. I just started the Twitch and Kick maybe like a week and a half ago. I don't really know how to promote myself on those platforms. There's a button that you press and they show you on that platform too. So I'm pressing it. Don't really know how it works. And I suspect that it's not going to really, I don't want to suspect that it's not going to grow. Maybe one day we'll be sitting here and there'll be like a few people on Twitch and on Kick. Last time we had like 5 people on Twitch at some point, which was like a big celebration. But, yeah, in any case, I saw The Devil Wears Prada too. So let me see what
all right, well, tell us all about it.
What does it look like on Rotten Tomatoes? I'm wondering.
Oh yeah, and is it true they had fat models on it this time?
Oh well, yeah. It was the cast insisted that there be some many different body types, which by the way don't exist in actual modeling.
Yeah, and they especially wouldn't exist in Meryl Streep's modeling agency. Like,
well, I mean, here's what I think. Let's first of all start off by just giving you some of my thoughts on the initial movie, on The Devil Wears Prada. Years ago, put into context that maybe in 2006 or whenever the first one came out, I think it was 2006. Was it 2006? That's what I'm thinking.
I thought it. I can look it up. I thought it was earlier or later. I thought it was like 2011, but I'm old. I don't remember anything.
No, I don't remember either. You could be right. I just checked. It's 2006.
Okay, see, you got it.
I guess you are old. It's the Phobos.
We know it.
although I'm right there too. It's not yesterday. I saw the original in the theater, so I'm not 2 years old, if you know what I mean. But in any case, it was in fact 2000. I was just kidding. It's the Phobos, obviously.
Oh, I know. Hey, I'm the first to say it. So.
In any case, listen, it's not that there's a lot of things that I'm sure you remember very well, like when Star Wars was released, but nobody can fault you if you don't remember the exact year Devil Wears Prada was released. It wasn't like must remember information, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I was really hearkening to go see it. I think I probably saw it on streaming or DVD in 2011, and then it just stuck. I definitely didn't see the first one in the theater.
I have never seen The Devil Wears Prada.
There was no woman in my life to drag me to the movies to see this. So I resisted.
I don't remember the exact circumstances, but I did actually see the first one. It wasn't something that especially interested me, but at the time, I think people were talking about it. We're talking about like Meryl Streep's performance in it, and I didn't watch like the Princess Diary. What was it? Princess Diaries. I don't know. Whatever Anne Hathaway was in as a kid that she plays that she's like a kid, but then she becomes a princess or some shit like that. Sorry, Sean. I don't remember. I never watched Anne Hathaway. I couldn't really care less about her. But I went and I watched this movie. Uh, I knew that it probably like is more for a female demographic. I don't know why I watched it, but I saw it back in the day, and I thought to myself that even though I wasn't really the target audience for it, even though it was a more female centric movie about fashion, about all this stuff, I still thought that the movie at the time, and I think that I was still studying film or a little after I studied film or whatever it is. So I like to sometimes see movies and evaluate and see if they have merit or how they were written, how they were made, especially if they were making money and they were popular. So I saw the first one, and I'll tell you, I thought it was pretty well made. It wasn't the worst movie I'd ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
I
It had
think
Patrick Bremel in it, and he's hilarious. And it had Stanley Tucci, so it's not like there's nothing in there for men either.
it had but even beyond, Stanley Tucci was good in it, and I think that relatively speaking, Meryl Streep, you could say that she's annoying maybe on a personal level and things like that, and I couldn't really fault you for it. I once went to an event. I shouldn't. I'm going to be careful. I think I've said it before. There was a movie that she was in, and there was some kind of premiere and something like that. And the way everybody was running around to sort of appease her, uh, it kind of felt like a bit over the top. But it's not. It didn't feel to me like they were running around to appease her, and she was like super. This is just my opinion. I don't know the lady. It's just my opinion. It didn't necessarily feel like they were running around to like kiss her ass and appease her, and she was super gracious about it. It almost felt like they were all worried that they needed to do that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, she's at super diva status, man. She's she's
Right. I
old
mean,
school now. I mean,
I've met people, that are very successful, even in the industry and things like that, and they didn't act that way. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, I get it. She won a lot of awards and she's very respected in her field. I still think, you're never too good for other people. I'm not saying that she said she was too good for other people, but I just the vibe I got of people running around like all like the kind of concerned look in their eyes as they run around uh rubbed me the wrong way. But
yeah,
I
yeah,
again, I don't. It all doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, whether or not she's like he says a diva or whatever she is, when you watch a movie, she needs to put in a good performance. And I
yeah,
think that as this Miranda character, which is sort of inspired by Anna Wintour, I think that Meryl Streep is perfect casting for it. Like,
yeah.
say what you want. You could say a million things, but her acting performance in this role and in the first one, when you looked at it, it was great. I couldn't say a bad word about her acting. And in addition to that, even though Istophobos, you said that you didn't prefer Anne Hathaway, I don't think I ever even knew who Anne Hathaway was until I saw that movie, and I rather liked her. I thought that she did a good job at sort of doing the transformation of being kind of the awkward, a little bit overweight, supposedly girl that shows up in the beginning to her, like, getting into this fashion world. I thought she did a good job, and there was something like a likable charm about her that didn't bother me. Now, over the years, it's not that I like her in every role, and I could see why somebody would think she's annoying, but the one thing I'll give to her credit is that I feel like she hasn't been overexposed in the past several years. Like, I don't see her in 70 movies every second like Zendaya. So now
Yeah.
at this point, once in a while she's in a movie, I actually think that, like, in moderation, I don't completely dislike her. If you don't
Well, yeah,
overdo it, you get what I'm saying?
yeah, and she wasn't she doing something else for a while? She was almost like semi-retired, but I
She
wanted to
dated a
remind you.
weirdo. She dated a weirdo that did
Oh
some
yeah,
strange things. She date an Italian guy that made like necklaces disappear?
yeah.
I know. Hey, there's two people on Twitch. Two people now.
And remember, even Project Hail Mary sucked up to Meryl Streep. Do you remember that? It was a real quick line.
Is that when they had a Meryl Streep voice or something in the
Yes, and it's
Rocky?
like
Yeah.
she can do anything. I'm like, screw you guys.
I'll tell you what. I was at an event, and I'll never. I probably have told you this before, but I'll say it again. Um, I can only share my experience. Maybe she's the nicest person, and I just got the vibe that was the way I saw it. But in my movie, and the one that like, I'm the main star of my own movie, and I'm walking around. I went to a movie where, again, she was in this movie, so she was at this event, and you saw a few people running around, and like, they seem really stressed, and like somebody's like asking a question of the other, where are you going? Like, and he's like, I'm on Meryl duty. And they were really worried. I'm like, man, these are two grown men. What is Meryl duty? Like, fuck you. I don't know. Like, I don't know why this annoyed me so much.
Sounds like a gay man's job, honestly.
I wanted to tell them that I thought that they were pathetic, but it wasn't my place to tell them. You know what I mean? Plus, I probably would have been escorted out of there, so I had to be mindful of what I said. But in my mind, if you could hear my inner thoughts when they said, I'm on Meryl duty, and they ran around and like looked worried and concerned, I had an issue with that.
Yeah, his name was Raffaello Folieri, by the way, and yes, he was turned out to be
Raphael de la Ghetto,
and stole from the Vatican even. And then she marries another jewelry guy after that dude. As they said in the chat, she had some kids, so at least she took the time off to be a mom. Got to respect that.
So yeah, she married some swindler, I don't know what, and I'll tell you what. Initially, when she was on the scene, like in this Devil Wears Prada, I didn't mind her. But then, as Catwoman, I didn't really like her as Catwoman. I'm sorry, like that didn't really work for me. I think that like as the girl in Devil Wears Prada, she was fine. Catwoman, I didn't really,
Yeah,
it wasn't for me. I think. At the time that they made The Dark Knight Rises or whatever it is, I know it's difficult to see it now because she's so annoying and like I don't, I think less of her now. But at that moment in time, if they would have made like Angelina Jolie Catwoman in Christian Bale's like The Dark Knight Rises or whatever, I think she was better casting. Anne Hathaway is sort of a quirky girl with some type of charm that's for some roles it works. I don't think that quirky thing worked for Catwoman. You know what I mean? Like Catwoman has to be more traditionally just very appealing in a more traditional way,
like Michelle Pfeiffer.
You know how on South
on South Park, the Canadians, their mouths go all the way around and their heads actually
detached. Where
that's Anne Hathaway.
That's what Hathaway's mouth
kind of is.
Yeah, it's so big it makes me feel like the top of her head's going to fall off. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, I think she has a certain charm to her, but it doesn't mean that she's charming for every role. At the time she did that, and she had like Les Miserables. And
I was gonna say, I think her performance in Les Miserables is one of the few notable performances in that film. It was let down by a lot of different choices that were made, but
Russell
she was
Crowe
not.
Singing.
She was not the issue. Her performance was excellent in that. She deserved some of the awards that she got for her performance there.
Yeah, there's no denying the talent.
Making songs and fighting around the world. He was in that movie, right?
God, of all the choices, as much as Anne Hathaway may have been the best choice and the best performance that they made in that, Russell Crowe would have to be the worst. Not that I don't. I actually like Russell Crowe. I really do. I like him a lot. And I think he's a pretty down to earth kind of guy. Like when it comes to, Hollywood stars and their, big heads and egos, like he's a pretty down to earth dude, but he was just the wrong choice for that role. It didn't work.
Now on The Devil Wears Prada, there's no denying the massive talent of the cast. I mean, Meryl Streep is excellent in everything she does, even when she has a bad script. Anne Hathaway's a good actress. I'm just worried about, her mouth. And Emily, I've always loved. So, I mean, we're talking a huge amount of talent here. But did they capture the lightning in the bottle like they did the first time?
And that's a good question. And that's really, one of the things that interested me. So I'll put it this way. It's so rare that you walk into a sequel and you walk in and you think, okay, the sequel is better than the original. The last time I can think of something like that is maybe Top Gun Maverick. You know, you had Top Gun, it was of its time, it was sort of an 80s movie. It's a cult kind of classic 80s movie. I still like it for whatever it is. I don't dislike the movie. There's a certain, again, like I always say, there's a certain charm or something about it that I like, 80s cheese, whatever you want to call it. There's something I like about the original, but I recognize its flaws. Whereas the second movie really, stepped up its game to be a much more like well-rounded, more thoughtful movie, with more defined stakes and less just cheese. I thought that there was a lot of stuff that it did better than the first one, but most of the time that doesn't happen. That's such an anomaly. Most of the time it doesn't. And I'll say this: The Devil Wears Prada 2 is not better than The Devil Wears Prada 1. It's the one still remains a movie that I thought had a kind of fresh idea. For those who are not aware, basically Anne Hathaway is this girl, maybe out of school, or she's a young lady. She's a little overweight, and she happens to get a job, as a secretary. She wants to be like a journalist or whatever it is, and she becomes the secretary for Meryl Streep's character, who's this kind of very snooty and bitchy magazine editor, like the top. It's kind of like Vogue. It's as if she was like and it's based on a lady who did run Vogue, the character. So basically, she's a snooty fashion elite bitch woman, and Anne Hathaway is working for her, and she's sort of changing throughout the process of working for her because she really wants to do well in the job, and it costs her. She becomes like more of a bitch herself. In order to succeed in this role, and she finds herself like really compromising her own sort of identity in order to get better at this thing that she's trying to do, which creates sort of like a personal conflict for her. I thought that, relatively speaking, that first movie got it right, but where do you go from there? Now, spoiler, nobody cares because it's a movie from 2006. At the end of that movie, she kind of goes off and leaves the magazine. You remember that, right, Mr. Phobos?
Yeah.
The whole idea at the end is like being successful in this field and working for a bitch like Miranda, whatever her name was that Meryl Streep was playing, is not worth it. She'd rather just go
Yeah.
off on her own because she doesn't want to compromise who she is. She has more integrity. There is something there. There's some kind of message there. I thought that it was overall an interesting movie. I'm not going to say it's the best movie I'd ever seen, but I thought that it did what it set out to do. There's a story. There's character arcs. They go through their arcs, and the movie ends, and I think that it's fine. And I actually thought to myself, you don't even need a sequel. You know what I mean? I never thought that the movie needed a sequel. And years later, in recent years, when Disney said we're doing a sequel, I thought to myself, what for? It's been 20 years. Who gives a shit? Like, there's nothing you could do now that's of any interest. So I walked into the movie. One, it's Disney, so I'm not excited. B, it's a movie, I'm not the demographic for. Even the original is not my favorite movie. Can't think of a reason why they would even make another one. Everything really was working against this movie upon me entering the theater. But the thing is that anytime I enter a theater, I always try to keep an open mind. As douchey as I am, I want to try to be nice and at least like give the movie the minimum credit that it's a movie and try to let it do whatever it sets out to do. And I did that with this movie. And initially, in the first few minutes when it got started, I'm like, man, this is going to be a bumpy ride. What's that? Is that from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? Short round. What does he say? Lady, this is going to be a bumpy ride or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of Short Round in the first few minutes of this movie, saying that to me. And but then, you know what? As you start seeing the characters and they're being reintroduced and all that stuff, I started feeling like it wasn't the worst thing that I'd ever seen. And over the movie, it actually finds its footing, and I think that it does some things that are decent. Now, again, it's not that my dream was this movie. I'm probably not the target audience for it. But I, again, as a reviewer, just evaluating the movie on its own merit and what it's trying to do, I think that I could see that they actually were trying to do first and foremost, they were trying to do something different. A lot of times with these sequels, you have like an exact copy of the first one. You have
Oh, yeah.
like the Force Awakens syndrome. You know what I mean? Make A New Hope and call it the Force Awakens. You know?
Oh yeah, beat for beat. It's really irritating. So many sequels absolutely carbon copy the original.
Exactly. So you have that kind of situation, and that's what I thought was going to happen here. But then, surprisingly, I think that the movie steers away from that. It doesn't want to give you the same movie over again. It actually jumps 20 years in the future, and a lot of times you also have like the modern day sensibilities and all this stuff. It really doesn't do too much of that. What it does is it brings the reality of what happened in 2006 to what's going on in 2026. 2006, being a fashion magazine still meant something. Being the editor of that still meant something. Being a journalist maybe still even meant something. This movie kind of acknowledges, in a way that I think is smart, that the world has changed. Somebody like this Miranda character, that's this like snooty editor. This newspaper now, and even like Stanley Tucci early in the movie says it, we're not selling like a ton of magazines anymore. We have like some kind of online presence. People are looking online at some articles and some videos. We don't have the budgets that we used to have. You know, the whole industry is different. And Anne Hathaway, the reason why all these characters get back together is that Anne Hathaway actually, she wins some kind of journalism award or something like that. And as she's winning it, she discovers that, you know, her whole newspaper that she works for has been shut down, and she just lost her job. And a lot of other people around her are losing it as journalists. Now, of course, you know, when we see this, we all kind of, I don't want to say chuckle. I don't chuckle that people are losing their jobs, but we all understand why, because, you know, journalists, quote unquote, and the mainstream media have been so awful that there's a reason. No, seriously, there's a reason. So,
yeah. No, yeah.
Of course, the movie doesn't really explain why the mainstream media is dead in the way we understand it, but it does acknowledge that times are changing and those guys can't continue to do whatever it is that they're doing, which somehow, through some strange, you know, turn of events, her not having a job and, you know, the paper having, you know, that Meryl Streep is in, having financial difficulties and a few issues and some problems that need to be swept under the carpet, bring them both together, meaning she's sort of lured in to come back to help solve a problem, and she doesn't have a job, so she needs one. Whereas like Meryl Streep, somebody else owns this magazine and they're pushing for her to come in, and she doesn't even want her there. And it's a situation that they're both kind of at odds, and they don't even want to be, you know, especially Meryl Streep doesn't want to be working with her and doesn't particularly like her. But now it's almost like a survival game. I'm abbreviating it. I'm not also spoiling all the details, but it's more of a survival game for the paper amidst the landscape of whatever new media is today. And I thought that, relatively speaking, this is not a bad direction to go in creatively. Is it as fresh as the first one? Is it as even funny or kind of more charming and more, you know, none of those things. I think that it's less in every parameter that you can think of. It's less than the original one. And the original one itself wasn't like The Godfather, you know what I mean? Like even the original one was just some random crap, not random crap, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but it sounds like one, it was admirable of them to try to actually do something different, and two, it sounds like it's still better than if they just copied the original beat for beat.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not a disaster in the sense that they're not just like, oh, like let's just do the same movie again. Now, some people could argue that there's a lot of sort of wink winks and callback to the original one, and you could look at that as like callbacks or fan service or member berries, whatever you want to call it. But I will say that even if those things exist, it's not the same movie. It's not a situation now where, like, you know, I think that them being sort of having to fight for their own personal survival and the survival of this newspaper and their jobs is a different vibe than what we saw 20 years ago. I think that also, you know, especially like Anne Hathaway's character, she slips right into it, and she's still, I think, very charming and likable here in this role. And but at the same time, you could tell she's a bit more mature. I think that they did a lot of things correctly, and it wasn't just a dumb rehash. So I do give props on that. And I will say, it's a competently made movie. I don't even remember who directed it. Wasn't even looking at the names. It's a competently made movie. It has good actors, all slipping back into their roles in a way that I thought was convincing. And didn't a lot of times also 20 years later you suddenly see the same actors in the role and you almost don't believe them. I'm going to say something that's going to get me in a whole lot of trouble. I don't know if I should say it. Should I say it, or should I keep it to myself?
Oh, you're gonna say it. Come on, say it.
Fine. You twisted my arm, Mr. Phobos. So in any case, Princess Leia. I really, really like what Carrie Fisher did in the original trilogy. I will say that when they brought her back for The Force Awakens and for The Last Jedi, so much time had passed that I felt that something about her vibe and energy had really changed.
Well, she's the general now, but no, I agree. I absolutely hated her in the sequels, but I hated almost everything about the sequels.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to dislike about the sequels, but I'll put it this way. As much as like they took a dump on Han Solo's character and all that stuff, when you saw him on screen, Harrison Ford at least gave a little bit of glimmer in his eyes of something Han Solo-y, whereas like when I saw her as Princess Leia, it was almost, I hate to say it, it was almost like a different actress. Not but just because she grew older. Michelle Pfeiffer grows older too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of actors that grow older. There was something about her overall vibe that just didn't feel the same to me.
Now I agree. She almost looked like she was playing Princess Leia's mom, but Carrie Fisher, she had some hard years going on, and she did. She just seemed smaller, like her aura, her vibe, and her voice. It all. She really did seem like older than her years when you compared her to Harrison Ford, who still had a little swagger. She didn't have any swagger left.
Didn't have any swagger left. And I say this as somebody that really liked her. Like I really, really like what Carrie Fisher did in the original trilogy. I also liked her in Blues Brothers. I even liked her in When Harry Met Sally. You know what I mean? Like I don't think she's a bad actress. I like her. I've always liked her. It's around the time they brought her for those Star Wars movies, I just felt like they really waited very long to redo it. And in her case, you kind of felt it. So the opposite I could say about The Devil Wears Prada. All these actors, yes, if you look at them, they aged. Obviously, 20 years went by. But I think that like they didn't age in a way that you're like, oh, they're not the same character. They brought a different vibe. None of them look like, they both look, all of them look around the same weight they did 20 years earlier. They have a physical appearance that is similar to what they had. I think that works, and their performances are good. The only one that I'll just say a little bit is that I think that Emily Blunt in the past few years may have done some things that she didn't necessarily need to do because there was nothing for her that needed to be done. If you know what I'm saying?
Elective-wise?
I don't know. I could be wrong. On it. I'm like, I'm not 100% sure, but I hope that's not the case because she really doesn't need it,
Yeah,
she still looked all right here. I mean, she was fine and she did her role and whatever it is. I think that's a strong cast and a screenplay that tries to do something that's not a complete rehash of the first, not a complete disaster. I thought that there was some, merit behind it. So, and when it comes to like when you said about the body positivity thing, I think that what happened was in the first movie, I don't know if you remember this, but Meryl Streep's character originally, when she sees like her secretary, which is Anne Hathaway, she tells her you're fat. Now, of course, she's not like extremely fat, but in the world of fashion, for those guys, she was like, she doesn't drop like 10, 15 pounds. She's like way too fat for them. And then like throughout the movie, she does lose weight and she wants to look better and all this stuff. Now, I think that in these days today, it's not like PC to say stuff like that. So what happened is that in this movie, one of the assistants that works for Miranda is like a dude that's very fat, like very plump or whatever you want to call it.
I know that actor. He's enormous.
Now, the thing is that it's kind of weird because I don't think that Miranda would hire him. They try to, they try to actually explain in a meeting that there's a few parts that like Miranda is sitting in a meeting and she wants to say something terrible, like something that's not PC, that's like really bad. But when she starts talking, like, each time a different assistant or somebody kind of looks at her and she knows she's about to say something that could get her in trouble. So she stops or tries to kind of get out of it. Like she tries to put a positive spin on something bad she started saying or about to say. I think this was also the movie's way of getting around from like Miranda being such a bitch like she was the first time around, because it's not PC enough. But I guess like in our world today, people do get offended more. So her realizing that she's saying non-PC stuff that's going to get her in trouble and trying to steer away from it on several occasions wasn't terrible. I mean, it makes sense. The times have changed. If you do say stuff, people will get upset. With all that being said,
reality is very offensive these days.
Yeah, you can get sued even. So yeah.
Right, that is true. You could get sued. With all that being said, I don't think that like she would hire like such a plump guy. Even with all the DEI, whatever it is that you want, I don't think that guy would get hired unless she thought that she had a lawsuit. And if that needed to be case, somebody needed to explain to me that like if she didn't hire this man, she would be sued for discrimination, and that's why she hired me. If somebody would have said a sentence like that, I would have believed it. But like once nobody explains it to me, I don't think she'd ever hire him. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know the guy. I find him a pretty annoying actor. He can be occasionally funny. There's no way in hell that character would have hired the other character. Just
no. It felt very kind of like,
forced. Yeah.
So you have that. Maybe that's why, like, Anne Hathaway was saying, "Oh, it's so body positive now," and blah blah blah. The one thing that was a bit funny, and like, there's one part where I guess she wants to say something about, somebody that's fatter, but she doesn't know how to say it. So she's like, "Oh, like he's body negative," and then like they look at her and they're like, positive, and she's positive. And I have to say that was kind of amusing, you know what I mean? Like I even got a little chuckle out of me that like she knew there was some stupid thing she needed to like conform to, but she didn't quite know what it was. And they had to like explain it to her.
That's completely true to her character too.
Right, like, exactly. It actually it rang true that she wouldn't know, and like they have to explain it to her. So I didn't mind that. And so you have that, and I'm trying to think of other things. If there was something that like was extremely like woke or whatever, I don't think that it really went over the top. And it's funny because this movie was the exact place that they could have had like a bonanza of woke stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the fashion, the models, they could have put like a bunch of LG stuff in here. There was like a million things that they could have shoved in here. And I think that they really carefully tried to steer away from all of that. So on one hand, I appreciated it, but on the other hand, I got annoyed. And you know why I got annoyed? Because it's like, of course, a female-centric movie with female-centric characters, they treat it with kids' gloves and they want to honor the original, versus if it's like Star Wars, they want to take a dump on all the male characters. Do you get what I'm saying? If this movie had like 3 macho guys like the original one, if Devil Wears Prada 1 was like, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Van Damme kicking everybody's ass for like 2 hours, and they made The Devil Wears Prada 2, those guys would now be like, sewing knitting sweaters. You know what I mean?
Well, they didn't have to feminize it because the movie's already feminine. But
that's what I'm saying.
I do have a theory about the woke elements, though. See, I think some of the smarter filmmakers are realizing that they have to pull back, but at the same time, they still want a virtue signal. That's why all the marketing is so woke. The interviews, the red carpets, like they're getting in the virtue signaling, on the red carpet and keeping it out of the movie.
And they're going to layer it into the movies and make sure that it's not part of the the main advertising, like the trailer. Right?
Yeah.
They're going to layer it in places where it's not going to be as obvious.
Yep. So they kind of, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too a little bit. And I must admit, like, just the things that Anne Hathaway said on interviews, annoying enough that if I was going to see the movie, I probably won't go see it now, because it was just really ridiculous and stupid what she was saying. But that's where I got the idea. Oh, they're getting the woke done They're offloading it, but they still have to say the message. They still have to lecture us. I think bodies come in all shapes and sizes. Yes, but not in the modeling industry. You know?
Right. I mean, listen, I don't care if all the movies will be like not, overflowing with that. And then just on the press tour, they want to say that crap. I just won't listen to the press tour. I don't care what they say in the press. I didn't think that like non-body positive, whatever it is, I didn't think that was a big thing in the movie. So I'm trying to think if there was anything like really. It didn't feel like out of character for a movie that's a female-centric movie anyways. Were there any like super macho masculine characters that you could really like, as a man, like be like, yeah, I like that guy? You didn't have that in this movie, you know what I mean? But this isn't that kind of movie. It's fine. It's not a movie that I expected. I don't need like muscle men beating up people in this movie. It would be an interesting twist, but it's not what the movie, for me as a dude, I would find that intriguing if suddenly like a guy walked in and started like, sort of throwing everybody around and like punching people. Like that would be cool, but it's not appropriate for this type of movie. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I got to give him credit. The joke in there, played for laughs, is actually funny, so it works. So, I guess if that's where all the woke moves to, I can live with that. I just won't watch the interviews,
I will tell you something that's a bit of an exclusive. By the way, is Professor still here? I feel like he's run away.
Are you not? Can you not hear me?
No, you can't. I can't hear you, but I feel like you
I have nothing to say about this movie. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the first one. Like I just don't have anything to say.
I understand. But yeah, so the performances were pretty good. I think that the story worked for the most part. There was like a twist that I could see coming like 70, maybe a few of them that I could see like coming 70 miles away. But again, it did what it was supposed to do. It was competently made. It was very competently acted. Not even just competent, very competently acted. Sometimes a movie just does whatever it needs to do to be an okay, serviceable movie. It's not The Godfather. It's not the best movie I've ever seen. It's not even as good as the first one, which was also not the best movie I've ever seen for whatever I enjoy. But it's serviceable enough. Is it a 78%? I think that grade is high, but it's not a failure. I wouldn't fail the movie.
Well, remember, you were around in the 80s, right? That's when they started that's when sequels became ubiquitous. But the difference is everybody understood it wasn't going to be as good as the first one, but it might be okay. And it was a series of diminishing returns, from the first to the second to the third. And we knew that the budgets were always lower for the sequels. They expected a smaller return and they planned accordingly. Nowadays, it's almost like they expect the opposite, the inverse of that. And so, I mean, I still kind of have, people, they're doing a sequel to your greatest movie. I'm like, I'm not that excited because sequels suck. And we only have like 3 examples where they didn't.
Well, I mean, back I would say in the 80s, at the very least, even 70s, 80s, at the very least, I felt like the movie makers were actually trying to make something good. Often they were, their budgets were slashed. Like if you go back and look at, say, like the Planet of the Apes films, right?
Yeah.
The fifth movie was like made from pocket change.
Yeah, it was like $5.
Yeah, really. I think they had a budget of like $10 or $12.
Which one was it?
I don't know. It was the very last one of the original Planet of the Apes films. Like the first one like didn't have a massive budget, but it had a decent budget for the time, and they used every penny. You saw every penny they had on the screen, and they made a solid film out of it. And then, but at the very least, even though the others were low budget, like they tried to do something unique and different and creative with them, even though they knew there were going to be diminishing returns, even though they knew they had lower budgets, they were still trying to do something different. Now it feels like every sequel is literally just cashing in on the last film.
Yeah.
or on the first film, right? They don't really care if it's anything worthwhile. They don't really care if it's anything creative or different. All that they care is that there's butts in seats that are going to pay dollars to see it. So that's not why we're not getting as many sequels now. What we're getting are remakes. Just over and over and over and over. We get these Disney where we're going to take an animated film and make a live action version. What are we going to do? Well, we want people to come see it. Why will they come see it? Well, because they liked the animated one. Not because we're doing something different and worthwhile, but because they like that one, so come watch this one too.
Yeah,
right?
Cash grabs.
Yeah, they're all cash grabs.
And it sounds like The Devil Wears Prada 2 was almost like Predator 2, a really decent sequel that just wasn't as good as the original. So Prada and Predator, and then Devil Wears Prada 2, Predator 2. Like it sounds like it is as good as you could have expected it to be. And my guess is it's going to do really well.
It probably is going to do well, because the thing is,
I bet it does.
This has baked in all the ladies that want to see it. There are ladies that like not only saw the original, but over the years, it's even like grown as sort of a, the way we like to watch maybe Predator. You were saying Predator? Ladies like to watch Devil Wears Prada. They're the original. There's a lot of ladies out there that if they flip for the channels, and sorry, I know there's like one lady listening to this stream. I don't mean to speak on behalf of all ladies, but from what I know, if they're flipping around through the channels and this movie pops up on their TV or whatever it is, whoever still has a TV, and it's like it's in the middle of that movie, they're probably going to they're not going to change it. You know what I mean? Kind of like how I feel about The Godfather. That's what happens to a woman who runs into, Devil Wears Prada. They can't resist. It's a movie that like women love. So this thing is going to make money. There's enough women that liked it then and feel that nostalgia and want to see more of it and want to see more of the story. There's other ladies that over the years have watched the movie and it's been on streaming and certain things like that and on TV. And now this movie, it's decent enough to not be like a complete stinker. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if it was terrible and unwatchable, maybe you could say, well, it'll have bad word of mouth and it'll just fizzle out at the box office, even though initially people will like it. But that's not the case here. I think the movie is competently made, and the type of people that want to watch this movie knows what it needs to deliver to them. It's not as good as the first one, but it'll be good enough as sort of like an epilogue to the first one, as a sequel to the first one, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So and you know what? I will say this. You could say that Anne Hathaway annoys you, but I'll tell you this. I don't know how old she is now, but she kept, whether you like her looks or not, I feel like she at least held on to them very nicely. I mean,
yeah, it's not even annoying. She's 43, by the way, but it just, every now and then you encounter somebody who just kind of freaks you out on a real visceral level. You can't even explain why. Like I said, that's me with her. Best I can say, the mouth, maybe, I don't know, but she's never done anything to offend me in particularly, and I know she's a good actress, so I don't really have anything against her. It's just sort of,
I think for this role she's good. Yeah. I think that for this role she's good. Maybe she's not good at every. Like I said, I wouldn't have cast her as Catwoman, but I did like her in this role, relatively speaking.
Well, it sounds like the people who made the movie understood the assignment, and they did about as well as they were going to do. So
it's just kind of annoying that Disney, out of all the movies that they could have handled with care, that they didn't take a dump on their existing viewers, is this shitty thing. Well, you know what I mean?
They never do when it's a female-oriented movie. They only dump on the boy brands, and just wait till Toy Story 5, man. Jeez, so.
Oh, I saw a commercial for that. That looks awful. That looks awful. Toy Story 5.
Yeah, and the live-action Moana looks like positively nightmare fuel. But when it is a female-oriented property, they're delicate and respectful and have kid gloves. They only destroy the stuff we like.
Right. I mean, why didn't they give this movie the Luke Skywalker treatment, where
Yeah.
they're all bums and they're like they don't do anything good or whatever. How come they
Oh,
don't do that once it's like strong
yeah.
women? They don't give them the Last Jedi treatment.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway climbs up a hill holding a rolled up copy of Vogue. She sees Meryl Streep. She hands her the Vogue, and Meryl Streep throws the Vogue behind her shoulder.
That's what they needed to do. That's what they should
Yeah.
have done here if they wanted to earn my respect.
Oh, that could be a good little AI 20-second video.
You should do it. Yeah, so basically, like I said, if I disconnect all of my like sentiments and the style, the genre, all that stuff, it's serviceable enough. But I want to give you a scoop. You want to hear a
Okay.
scoop, guys?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to give you information now that's not being reported anywhere, and some people may claim that what I'm about to say is a trust me bro type of situation, but I am fairly certain that what I'm about to tell you is true, uh, because it just feels that way. Are you with me?
Yep.
So
Right.
this movie has Emily Blunt in it, and it has a lot of stuff happening here with her character.
Okay.
And the movie, there's a resolution, and there's a scene that seems like the movie could possibly end there. There's a certain point where if you ended the movie there and the credits rolled, that would make sense to me. That would be like the right moment to end the movie. But suddenly, from what I recall, and again, I'm not going to go see this again, so I could be all like, it could all be jumbled in my mind, but it felt like there was an additional scene that was reshot at the end of the movie to give a different type of spin on something or clean up something, and nobody's talking about it. And the reason why I think it's interesting is because and this is my proof, and this is a scoop. This is a scoop. I'm like, what's his face? Who does these scoops all the time?
Woodward and Bernstein, or Mike Zero.
Right, I'm doing like the Mike Zero scoop here. So, but as opposed to Mike Zero, I actually have a reason for saying why I think that there was a reshoot. So throughout the movie and in the first movie, Emily Blunt has this kind of red hair. That's her trademark look. That's who she is. That's what she does. Okay. A lot of stuff happens in the movie. I won't do the spoiler because it doesn't really matter. But she's also in this movie. Not going to ruin it. For the one lady that watches this stream, I'm not going to ruin it for you, so you can go watch it. But who am I kidding? I don't know if there's even one lady watching this stream.
We got Elizabeth Quince out there.
Elizabeth Quince.
She said they like that movie.
All right, after your scoop, I do have some info about they did change the ending.
Okay, well, we'll get there in a second, but here's what I think. And also, somebody says I was going to get to this, that Sydney Sweeney was cut from the movie. I am going to get to that. But Emily Blunt, she has red hair in the first one, red hair in the second one. Suddenly, there's a scene at the end where Emily Blunt is in it. It feels a bit strange, that scene, and she suddenly has blonde hair with a completely different like style and look, one that looks more like she does now. Like, I almost, when I looked at it, thought that maybe some time had passed between the two things. And I know this is going to sound terrible because I don't really know. I dare say that maybe the time between the two scenes, maybe Emily Blunt even, got more something done. I don't really even know, or she just looks different. So the fact that her hair color is different is very telling. And a scene that seems sort of awkwardly placed in there, and her hair color is different. And I thought to myself, man, what's going on here? So my opinion is this. One, it's a reverse Last Jedi. It's a reverse Luke Skywalker, meaning maybe there's something in the movie that they think, well, it kind of presents her in a light that's not so great. Maybe this will soften it a bit, in a way. Meaning they're actually trying to go back and tidy up something. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, in order that you still end the movie and think more highly of her, they tidy up the movie. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
As much as I can without actually knowing, how it ends. So
basically, the best way I can describe it is that their development in this movie, she is not necessarily always seen in the most positive light. And if you ended the movie without this awkwardly placed additional scene, it would probably end in a way that you feel not as good about her and her character as the way it ends. That there's without any type of like even a little bit of redemption. Do you get what I mean?
And you're talking about Emily Blunt's character?
Emily Blunt's character,
Yeah.
an awkwardly placed final scene of the movie with her suddenly having a completely different hairstyle. Like she has blonde hair. She's not the red thing that's been for 2 movies. She looks like there's even a time gap between when they filmed this and that. And maybe there's a comment where she says, "Oh, like your hair is blonde now," and she's like, "Yes," or something like that. But for me, when I looked at it, I thought to myself, this is some kind of like softening the blow, redemption, if you want to call it something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
it was important for them. See, Luke Skywalker needed to be a bum that everybody thinks is a loser and a jerk off. But in her case, somebody sat and said, wait a minute, are we sure we want to end the movie like that? Maybe somebody won't like her as much if we don't, tidy this up. Do you get what I mean? It's like the reverse.
Yeah. We can't show women in a negative light. We need to, and they cut the Sweeney scene. Emily Blunt was in it, so they needed something to replace that, and they did a reshoot. I can totally buy that easily. They cannot portray women in a negative light. So yeah, I can see that.
I feel like they had an emergency meeting over at Disney, and they said, like, we watched the movie, and unfortunately, sometimes Emily Blunt's character here wasn't presented in the best light. We really got to do something about that. And they're like, no problem. We're going to do reshoots. We're going to reshoot something.
We had one woman in our test audience who was deeply offended. So now we have to change the whole film.
I honestly feel that that's what happens. I don't have any other explanation for it. And nobody has said anything until now. All the weirdos online, not one loser has said anything. Yeah. The only loser that said something is me.
They're not going to say anything, but we know they cut the Sweeney out, so they had to replace it with something. That was Emily Blunt's scene. Well, the other thing, though, they could have matched her hair, wigs or whatever. I'm wondering if you think she had something else done, they needed to make it less obvious by changing other parts of her appearance.
I think that the reason why they did it is that the whole thing is sort of covering her cheeks in a way. Maybe there was something like that going on there. Either they needed it quick and she just said, listen, I'm not doing my whole hair, especially for one scene. You want it? This is what I look like. Yeah. And then they just said, fine, fuck it. We'll film it. Sorry, Sean. They filmed it that way. The other thing I was thinking, and this goes hand in hand with the fact that they did cut Sydney Sweeney from the movie. Now, their excuse, and this is Disney with their stupid excuses, was they filmed a 3-minute scene with her and Emily Blunt, where I guess Emily Blunt is sort of like, helping her with some fashion thing, and I guess Sydney Sweeney is playing herself. And there was a 3-minute scene, which I would have loved to have seen in this movie. This movie already would have earned a few extra points for me with Sydney Sweeney like trying on clothes or whatever it was supposed to go on here. I think that would have been good. So they said that the reason they removed it, it's not because of the controversy, because they think that she's a Republican or whatever it is. It's none of that. The reason why they removed it, according to them, is that it distracted people from the movie. Now, on the one hand, I think they're jerks, and it's probably just because of the quote-unquote controversy and her political opinions and all that stuff. I honestly think that would be the main reason. However, I could see a situation where 3 minutes of Sydney Sweeney walking around and looking great could potentially get people to kind of lose focus on whatever nonsense was happening in the movie. But I don't know. It wouldn't have mattered to me. I would have liked to have seen Sydney Sweeney for 3 minutes. That would not have been a problem for me.
Yeah, well, this Big Sir River pointed out in the chat, Sweeney upsets most girls, and probably the other actresses weren't really between the fact that she's hotter than they are and her politics. They probably, one thing for sure with Disney, whatever they say is a lie. So if they say it wasn't because of her controversy, then it totally was.
It was absolutely because of the controversy.
Yeah, I know it was.
Yeah. I mean, come on. What are we supposed to believe, right? Yeah. No.
Disney.
We ended our relationship with this actress because not because of some controversy that happened, but just because of whatever.
You know, we are heading into an hour and 15 minutes on the Devil's Wears Prada 2.
No, we're only that's not true. We were 59 minutes.
Oh, did we start late? I didn't.
Yeah,
I think we started a bit late. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't. I was just
the
going
professor
from
was playing with his equipment again,
as always.
Oh yeah, there's a timer right there. Shit, like, yeah, I was just looking at the time, but
couldn't be that Price was running late because he had a show before this that ran late.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always part of it. Now, just so you know, there's been some technological developments here at the Night Owl. Like I showed this. Oh, because of the logo, I can't show it. Hold on. How do I find? Okay, I'm working on the technology side here. So, see, you can see the stats, and there's 2 people on Twitch. We have apparently 0 people on Kick. That's very sad. If whoever is on Kick, you should go watch this thing. This is a great stream, and you guys should check it out. We have 2 people on Twitch. You know,
isn't your Rumble ratio growing? Like that's pretty good for.
Well, it's okay. I mean, listen, every time it's something different. We've had different. You know, Rumble does whatever Rumble does, so it's kind of it's always you don't exactly know how it's gonna.
Yeah, but yeah, it's either that or it's like 4,500. So, but,
right, it's either like the 25 people or like 2,500, right? But
yeah, but I haven't really checked, but it seemed like it was about 18 to 20 solid. I think that's good because of the way YouTube is kicking off people. I'm glad to see Rumble audiences growing.
Yeah, we people, like I said, it's kind of unexpected. We've had some wild nights on Rumble, and some of them were a bit quieter. But overall, I like the platform, and we enjoy what we do there. What happened to the Rumble logo? I think I lost it. How did that happen?
It disappeared on you.
See, here's some more technology if you want to see. We have Rumble and the Night Owl, but then I did something else. I hope you guys are ready. This is one of the biggest technological leaps we've been through on the Night Owl. Are you guys ready?
It's a quantum leap forward for technology.
Nice.
The Night Owl on Rumble. But the problem is because of this thing, we can't really see it. Now we could see it. Oh, where's this Tofobos? Sorry. No,
did I just hear?
Just got rid of him. That's part of the technology. The Night Owl on Rumble. What do you think about that?
I like it.
Like a big deal. Big fucking deal here.
Okay. So I'm on Kick and I can't find your stream.
I'm on Kick and I just found his stream.
Is it what should I search for?
Loser that watched Devil Wears Prada 2. Probably it'll come up.
Oh, found it. It's all one word.
Yes.
All righty.
But
at least it's not Price O Reason. Like
it's on Twitter, yeah. The thing is that I think that somebody did shenanigans on Twitter with Price of Reason. And it's unfortunate. Some guy who like has 70 pronouns in his bio, and like I almost think that okay, this is just my thoughts. I have no way to prove it. I think initially when I started this thing and I quickly thought of a name, I wanted Price of Reason, and maybe it didn't exist. So I said Price of Reason. I think at some point somebody let go of the original Price of Reason, and then an opportunist came along and took the Price of Reason thing just to put in a couple of pronouns and act like a douche. And then I think that same person blocked me and all this other stuff. And like, it's like he's trying to be like Bizarro me, you know what I mean? And then at some point he wrote like, I'm not even going to be here anymore. I'm moving to Blue Sky. So now if you click like Price of Reason and go on Twitter, you have some guy that's like, I've gone to Blue Sky. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. You know, somebody will go there and think that that's me.
Well, you always have to watch out for the multi-pronoun people.
I guess
they don't really seem to be able to take a joke very well, do they? I'm just going to throw it out there.
No, and I never even talked to the guy, and I think he blocked me. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I've gotten a few of those lately. People that I've like literally just reply to them one time, and what they reply back with something really nasty, and then block me.
Oh, yeah.
Assholes.
There was like this one. It's like, why do people who hate new Star Wars make it their whole identity? And I'm like, I just didn't like the sequels. That's all. And they're like, what? You love Trump? I'm like, all I said was I didn't.
What?
Yeah, I know, just out of nowhere. And it's like,
it's still, there's been an improvement in our stats.
Yes, I see.
Another like 3 people joined our stream, and we doubled our audience on Twitch. Kick is still really like, struggling there.
No, you have 2 viewers on Kick.
Then I guess there's some kind of delay in the chat. Although I think last time there were 2, and it didn't actually show them. So
yeah,
I don't know. But
I'm assuming Professor's the other one, because
Tim Hayes.
Oh yeah, no. Oh,
is logged in with his Kick account.
That's good to know. It's good
to know.
Hey
there, Tim.
Our
big supporter of the show. We appreciate it.
We appreciate Tim a lot, and it's nice to see that we're really taking off. Hey, Mark D with a C. I sent you a DM, and you never even looked at it. I'm not offended at all.
No, it's sort of becoming a tradition toward the end of Thursday. Is Mark swings by, and you invite him and me on. It's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're the VIPs of the channel.
Oh, 3 viewers on Kick now. Like you're gone viral.
Going viral on Kick.
300%.
I just regret that we didn't even do the locals thing today. We didn't have the local. That one guy.
I can't even figure out what the hell is supposed to go.
I always try to. It seems like locals wants money, so I'm a little bit.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I never understood locals. I don't get it, but
it's more. It seems to me it's more like it's like for building a community around a stream or around a personality or something. Like it's not actually like a place to stream as much. It's
right.
It's
more
like a community thing.
Yeah, Dave Rubin started locals, and that's what he used to do, which is like at the end of his stream on Rumble and YouTube, he's like, now we're going over to locals for an exclusive, but you actually had to pay to be a member of locals. So then Rumble purchased it from him. I'm not exactly sure what locals, but I already have too many account. It's just another thing I don't want to. It's like putting another app on your phone.
Here's what I think. I'm going to say the most terrible thing that anybody's ever said. Are you ready, Ista?
Yes.
Maybe Rumble was kind of like Judge Doom. What was the guy in Roger Rabbit?
Oh,
was his name Judge Doom?
I think so.
The one that Christopher Lloyd played.
Oh yeah.
Judge Doom?
Sounds right.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, Judge Doom.
Yeah, Judge Doom. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a line in Roger Rabbit that he says, I bought the train thing so I could dismantle it because he wants to build a freeway. I have no proof here. This is a dude, trust me, bro. And I could be wrong. Maybe Rumble acquired, locals to kind of absorb it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Buying out the competition is sort of like an American tradition. And according to AI, if you don't like the Star Wars sequels, you are in fact homophobic, transphobic, and MAGA.
I thought we were going to say that you are in fact a member of Locals if you don't like it.
No, you still got to pay for that.
You will be forced to sign up for Locals
automatically.
It
Gives you automatic membership on Locals. I'm just kidding though. I really don't know. I don't know the story of why Rumble would buy it or what they do with it. All I know is that I've never fully understood what you do with Locals. Maybe there was an initial an idea behind it that they did it. I always I always think of the Christopher Lloyd scenario, but I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure on it. I'm threw it out. You know who did a Christopher Lloyd? You know who did a Christopher Lloyd? What's their face? AOL. You know when AOL did that? There was a company called ICQ. And that was the initial kind of messenger chat between people.
Oh, yeah.
And you think today, well, you're chatting on something online and you're sending chats and messages and files and whatever. And you're thinking that's nothing. You do that all the time everywhere. But in those days, that was a big deal. You didn't quite have that interface. And it was something so simple on the one hand, but they found sort of a white space where it didn't, that thing didn't exist. And they came up with the first, proper, maybe before you had these UBS, what was it called? IBS.
BBSs?
BBS servers, sorry. Yeah. That's what I meant. I meant BBS. Oh. IBS, close enough. You had those servers where where you could IBS each other. And and then ICQ took it to the next level where you see if the person is online or not, and you can send them messages. And it was very useful and people were using it. And AOL saw this and really, they were concerned about it. So what did they do? They went in a deal at the time that was considered unprecedented. They went to the people that made that ICQ app and paid them a ton of money, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. Today, probably you hear billions here, billions there, but it wasn't that common then. They paid them $500 million. It was almost like an unprecedented deal.
407 million. And
it was a lot.
Before that, they bought Waze, which is Wide Area Information Service, which is how you used to search on the old internet protocols. So AOL was trying to gobble up the whole internet there for a while.
They sure were. And the real problem was that as much as people liked ICQ, IRC was a way better technology.
And
it was open.
And we still use them. IRC
still use IRC today. If you are chatting on Twitch, you are using IRC.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
That's cool.
It is. They have heavily customized it over the last few years, but in up until 2000, 2021, I think you could still use. Who knows? Maybe it's still the case, but you can still use an IRC client to access the chat on Twitch.
Well, the biggest gobbler upper was just recently Disney was about to get its ass kicked by Fubo, so they bought them.
Yep.
So there
really
you go.
Annoying too. I think they sued them and then bought them or something. But
well,
the usual MO. But before I forget, because I wanted to tell you about the Christopher Lloyd thing. So the second AOL buys ICQ, you'd think that they'd make it ICQ by AOL and start spreading that all over the place. But what did they do? They invented, quote unquote, probably using the same technology. They did AOL Messenger, and they pushed that AOL Messenger in a very heavy way. Over time, everybody was just using the AOL one, and nobody was using the ICQ. It's the classic thing of Judge Doom. It's exactly that plan. We have 3 people on Twitch, by the way. 3.
Yeah,
it's the biggest development of the night. In any case, so that's what happened with it. But now I kind of want to watch Christopher Lloyd as Judge Doom.
It's a good movie, man.
Oh man, and his performance is so
amazing,
good in that, man.
And it holds up.
We're talking about the guy who used to play Reverend Jim on Taxi, right? He was this weird guy. He was always just stoned out of his mind, and then he was Doc. And he was this lovable, sort of goofy scientist, and then he is this absolutely terrifying villain in that movie. Did not see that coming.
It's Commander Krug. he was a very convincing burnout on Taxi. People thought the guy was really
he was
a stoner.
Yeah. His performance on there is great. I've actually recently rewatched some old episodes of Taxi.
So this is kind of not okay. There's a class of people on the internet that have always really puzzled me. And this girl, a friend of mine, not a girl, just regular friend, she explained it to me in a quick way using Roger Rabbit. And I said, man, I just do not get furries. Is that like a mental illness? And she goes, what do you think of Jessica Rabbit? And I'm like, oh, like, so imagine that like times 10. And I'm like, but that's different. It's like, no, it's different for you. So at least it gave me a tiny bit of insight into what I thought was pretty weird. Just saying. Probably not the best story of the night, but there you go.
Okay. This is very important.
Oh, you gotta share it. Can't see it.
Ouch.
That's a good point.
Yep. Yep. Presentation mode. Yep. There you go.
And okay, let's see what happens.
The dip.
I suppose you think no one's going to notice Toontown's disappeared?
Who's got time to wonder what happened to some ridiculous talking mice when you're driving by at 75 miles an hour?
What are you talking about? There's no road past Toontown.
Not yet. Several months ago, I had the good providence to stumble upon this plan of the city council. A construction plan of epic proportions. They're calling it a freeway. Freeway? What the hell's a freeway? 8 lanes of shimmering cement running from here to Pasadena. Smooth, safe, fast. Traffic jams will be a thing of the past.
So that's why you killed Acme Maroon? For this freeway?
I don't get it. Of course not. You lack vision. I see a place where people get on and off the freeway. On and off, all day, all night. Soon, where Toontown once stood will be a string of gas stations, inexpensive motels, restaurants that serve rapidly prepared food, tire salons, automobile dealerships, and wonderful, wonderful billboards.
Billboards!
All as the eye can see.
Okay, she doesn't look like a rabbit at all.
It'll be beautiful.
It'll be beautiful.
Nobody's gonna drive this lousy freeway.
Here, this is the part.
Oh, her last name is Rabbit because she took her husband's name.
Ah.
Okay. This is the sentence, though. 1 second.
You see, I bought the red car so I could dismantle it.
That's what I meant.
Yep.
I bought the red car so I could dismantle it. And who would have
Hello.
thought it?
All the
But,
time.
Hey, Mark.
hey, Mark, what's going on?
Hey, glad to be here. Sorry I missed your DM before, but in my defense, I was streaming, so...
That's okay.
Avast ye, matey, Mark.
Hard to be on 2 streams at the same time, Mark.
Yeah, it is very tough. Yep. But I wish I'd seen your message earlier. But anywho.
Okay.
Yep.
No, that's cool.
Can I? Let's see if I can turn my real camera on. Let's see if it turns on here. If I do. Oh, last time I didn't want to do that too. I unboxed a Valkyris from Christopher Lloyd's favorite Klingon.
Oh.
And
Oh, my.
and I can't. I guess I go to turn my camera on, it's not working. So
Christopher Lloyd is an underappreciated actor. We have
awesome.
4 viewers on Twitch. Things are really heating up there.
Yes.
ooh, let me go to Twitch now too. Let me add to that.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I am afraid I am going to have to call it a night. I have a very early morning tomorrow and a very long day, so I'm going to have to pack it in. But the show is in wonderful.
Did we just lose him mid-sentence?
Did we lose him when he said wonderful hands?
All right. Well, good night, Professor.
Good night. It was,
I think it was his internet. Yeah.
a pleasure hanging out with you.
So, Price, there's a term for companies that buy the competition just in order to dismantle it. It's referred to as a killer acquisition.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it was. And I guess the professor had to cut his time here short. But
Yeah.
we appreciate the professor, and thank you. And you have a great evening, Professor.
I saw him flickering for a second. I don't know what happened
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
As,
Well, I guess he's tired.
he was
Yep.
kind of in limbo, I guess.
Yeah, it was like transporting out there. Yep.
Trying to find.
Did anyone see my question in the chat? I don't know. Do you guys know who Christopher Lloyd's grandfather, what company helped to found?
Oh, I did know that. Hold on.
I'm sorry. Something weird was happening. So yes, I wanted to finish saying good night, everybody. I didn't just drop and disappear. Always glad to see everybody here. Good to see you, Mark. Good to see you, Ista. As always, Price. Take care, buddy. And I hope everyone out there in the chat has a wonderful weekend. And I'll be looking forward to seeing everybody again on Tuesday next week. So take care.
Good night.
Take care, man.
Wasn't Christopher Lloyd a direct descendant of the Mayflower?
I'm not sure about the Mayflower, but think a very big company.
Texaco Oil.
Texaco Oil, yeah.
Yep.
Because I live near Stamford, Connecticut, so his house that he grew up in is a really cool museum right now. We went there, and I didn't realize, you're trying to plan like family things to do, and you go to his homestead there. It's this gorgeous. It's a really fantastic house. It's amazing, and it's looks like a castle on the outside, and they built a house inside and all kinds of special heating, all kinds of for back then when as old as the house was, all these really cool things. And the house is it's holds a lot of artwork now, and you're there and you're like, this was he is a direct descendant of the Mayflower too, correct? Yep.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to read that, like, Christopher Lloyd, Back to the Future, grew up here. And he was such a great actor, though. God, he's just so amazing. Yeah, I love him.
Underrated, if anything. He's such a great character actor. He's just
yeah,
that's what I think. I think he's underrated.
I agree with that.
I mean, people know him. They know he's good, but I don't think that people have really ever dwelled on how versatile he is. He played that Judge Doom character. He's so creepy, and you believe he's creepy. You totally forget that he's Doc Brown.
Yeah, I think cinephiles appreciate him, but your average person is like, oh yeah, that guy.
Maybe it's like an actor's actor, but I think
definitely.
that, very solid, versatile actor. I think, at least.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely.
What else did we have on our docket today?
What's your favorite Christopher Lloyd quote? I know what mine is.
Man, there's so many of them.
It's not my goddamn planet, monkey boy.
No, but there's so many there's so many Back to the Future ones that I always think of,
Yeah. But he just killed me in Buckaroo Banzai, man.
There's one thing that I always like when he's sitting with and talking to Einstein or something, like to the real Einstein. He's like, it can't be done. It can't be done. I don't know who he's talking to some picture. I always think when somebody says something that's difficult, I think like Doc Brown, like, it can't be done. The only whatever is a bolt of lightning. And unfortunately, we don't know when and where that's going to strike. We do now. That's like the best planting.
I love that line.
In the history of cinema, that's like the best planting and payoff ever, when she's like, save the clock tower, save the clock. He's like, yeah, lady, whatever, here's the thing. And she writes the phone number on it. It's so smooth. It's like the best.
That entire movie is a masterclass in setup and payoff. Every single frame of film is actually doing heavy lifting in that movie. It's great.
Absolutely. I'm going to re-up the technology. Gentlemen, we have the technology. So I'm gonna do something even better. Now I'm again like Oscar Goldman. Better, faster.
Stronger.
What's the thing?
Stronger.
Better, stronger, faster.
Okay. I think this is even better. I made it smaller. Let's see how this looks.
Oh.
Presentation. Let's try to share something. Again, sorry I'm sharing this. I just want to see if it works. That's not so good, but it's okay. We'll work with that for now.
Advance through increments. The technology is getting better all the time.
It's only going to get better from here. That's for sure.
They added stuff to Rumble Studio, or
it's a combination. One, I think that maybe they added something, but B, I actually sat and decided to take initiative. I wanted
learn
to
how
do
to use
better.
it. Yep.
I mean, this for me, I actually just had to do a logo, which I didn't, do before, and I'm like, why don't I improve it? Step up my game, yo.
You're always learning stuff every day. It's like Tom Connors is like, you don't have to share the whole window. You can actually just share the tab. I'm like, wow, I can just share the tab? Because, I usually dox myself like 4 or 5 times a stream or show something or, here's my credit card bill. Well, no, I haven't. It's dangerous when you're sharing the screen. So it's like,
yeah,
like you share the tab.
Like if you're the quartering and you just gave the whole game away.
Right. I mean, the thing is that I've had situations when I did DMs in chats, and then like I shared my Twitter DMs. Thankfully, though, I'm such a boring and uneventful guy that like to date there hasn't been any DM that's been of any interest. Even the ones that I shared, it's like, hey, are you going to be here at 10? I'll be here at 10:15. Okay, I'll see you at 10:15. That's usually like this. There's nothing interesting in anything that I've ever shared.
I just make sure my computer, like I have a separate computer with the dirty stuff on it, and I turn it off before I streaming. I'm not taking any chances.
There was once that I don't know if I was talking to the professor, and it was like the most vanilla naughty. It was like a naughty joke that nobody would understand, and it was like so vanilla that even if somebody saw it, it would be like meaningless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was like the most like risque thing that happened, that like I think I told a joke and shared it. It was so stupid, and I don't even think anybody understood it. So but
well, that's happened to a bunch of streamers here where they've like, but where they've shared their DMs, and unlike yours, they were controversial, or like, don't you think so and so is a jerk? Yeah, I think they're,
That's the worst. That's the worst. I think the one that I felt the worst with is that I was having maybe a conversation maybe with Robot Head, but again, I think when you look at those like back and forth DMs, it's like, oh, like, are you going to be around Thursday? Yeah, I'm on Thursday. Oh, you're on Thursday? And like, it was nothing. I don't know. Maybe there was half a comment of like a sentence. And again, some kind of joke that probably nobody understood. I don't even know.
My favorite was that bimbo on Twitch that accidentally showed the screen where she was botting her own stream for views.
That's kind of funny.
And she got totally busted. Like thousands of views were fake, and they all just popped up on her monitor.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny business that happens with streamers and numbers and things like that, but I don't know. I think that in the big picture, doing a lot of botted stuff probably isn't good, I would think.
Yeah, that's not something you want out there too. Plus, I mean, I can see why people do it, but you're not getting that interaction either. So
right, you're causing damage to yourself. This does happen. There's people that pay some kind of money to get more interaction. There are people that do this, and I think that most of the time, in the long run, if you do that over and over again, it's probably not so good.
Yeah, no, it never seems to work out like they think it will. It just doesn't.
I mean, initially, it looks like there's like a bit of a bump, and like it looks like people are impressed, but it's not sustainable. I mean, either you keep paying money, or then suddenly it stops, and you can't really explain why it stopped, or or you have a video. I've seen situations where somebody releases a video, has like 20,000 views, but then you look and there's like just a handful of likes, or
Yeah.
just 0 comments. Usually that's kind of strange. Like
Yeah.
if 20,000 people watch your stream, even if they hated it, you're going to get at least a few comments saying that they hated it, or you're going to see some thumbs up. And not getting thumbs up or thumbs down and not getting any shitty comments, it starts seeming weird.
Yeah, it's like Blake Lively's 50 million followers, and she does a post, and there's only 24 likes.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen that. I've got around 2,000 subs, so and I appreciate all that. And I did get a few subs from being on here, and thank you. A couple people said, "Oh, I saw you on Price's show," and I really appreciate that. And I've seen like other channels that had like much, like you're saying, like huge number of subs, and I'm like, go to their stream and like there's 5 people watching, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, something is not jibing here, because if you've got that many subs, you should have some basic interaction with people.
You actually get punished with a high sub count and a low engagement count because it will deboost you.
I clicked on a button and it showed the chat. Do you see it, Mr. Phobos?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, look at that on top of the screen. Yep.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's interesting, I guess.
I use it for gaming streams sometimes. It's good for people who are on TV. If you're watching it on a TV, I think, depending on your TV settings, so you can watch see the comments.
Yeah.
I tried also like a more compact design. Instead of the on between the two things, I wrote like on here. Although I may change it again, but I don't know.
So it looks like there's, I guess, not really much. There was a little something going on in the chat. I've never heard of these people. The Crucible, Mr. E. I know the Quartering, but I hadn't heard of those other people. So
I don't know. The truth is, wait a second. We don't really deal with that kind of stuff here. We're not, it's not really my thing. I know there's a lot of drama going on there, but I mean, obviously, just if you want to know my general opinion, obviously it's not good to just, find people and try to do something bad to their operation. I'm totally against that. But it's a kind of drama that I haven't really wanted to dwell on myself. You know what I mean?
I'll
tell you why. Also,
drama. I don't want to get it in YouTube either.
Drama that I don't feel like getting into, and the thing is that there's so many people already that have gotten into this drama. I'm not saying anything negative even about the people that got into the drama, or anything positive about the people that caused the drama. But I just feel like me steering away from that energy makes me feel good. I don't really know how to explain it. It's like, I get it that bad things were done, but this whole thing is just, it's a lot of bad vibes, and I want to steer away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like it in real life. I certainly don't want it in my escapist entertainment.
Yeah, and the thing is, the thing is that, how do I explain this? It's like, when somebody does something bad, you could sit around and continue to talk about that all the time, but I don't feel like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want people to lose their channels, and I think that, doing these kind of things are, to target people and things like that, I'm 100% against it. But I feel like all the backlash that, whoever may or may not have done that would get, I feel like that's already happening. And I just don't want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? I just want to do what I do, and I don't want to deal with that. There's some people now that, they've dedicated their channels, videos, and are sitting around talking and doing all this stuff. I'm not hating on those people. It's a topic that's being discussed, and when there's something that a lot of people are interested in and want to talk about, it's totally like, cool if they want to do videos about it. I just prefer not to.
Well, like I said, I haven't even heard of these people. Not once, not ever.
Yeah,
I agree
mean,
with that too. I think
I feel like a noob.
It
You
gets
know,
kind of boring too, in a way. Yeah.
And the thing is, again, without naming names, some of the or one of the people that's being like, at the center stage of this whole, like, all these scandals, it's not a person. I don't really know that guy. I don't really, I know of him. There's people that I know that have known him in the past or whatever, but I don't really have anything with him. I don't know. Like, I want to focus on doing good things for myself and not all this bad stuff that's happening between other people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of
Say
like high
an asshole
school
for
drama. It's like I'm out of high school and
yeah,
yeah. If I want to talk about something bad, it'll be Starfleet Academy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody's saying no shame in staying in your lane. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, it's maybe the situation is that I think you guys just said even the people that are on one side or on the other side that have been affected or not affected. I don't really know any of those people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't know them. I wish everybody well. I don't know them, and I just don't want to spend all of my energy on it. So, like I said, if you ask me a general question, do you think it's good to like start going and like trying to ruin people's business? That's not a good thing. But
Yeah.
aside from that,
Oh,
aside from that, that obviously that's how I feel. I don't really know beyond that. I'm not saying that doesn't matter now. That's what I feel about it.
no, but I have a good segue. Speaking of ruining people's business, don't we have some James Gunn on the itinerary this evening? I thought it'd be a good segue.
Yes, we do have some James Gunn, and I'll get to it in a second. I'm just trying the latest technology.
All right.
Just saying, speaking of ruining careers.
Super price here with the
Oh,
high tech.
well, you do. Can I make a quick announcement? Because we hit a massive milestone today.
Sure.
Project Hail Mary now has made more money than Superman's James Gunn at the box office.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
You know
Is that
what?
word?
That is some pretty decent news.
Yeah. I do not think it means what you think it means. But, I mean, that's massive. Like, no IP, original story by Andy Weir, no skin suiting, just, no agenda, no message, just giving the audience what they want, a good story and great entertainment.
And science.
Yes, plenty.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, it's interesting because James Gunn had one of the most well-known superheroes ever, and he couldn't do anything normal with it. Like, he sucks.
Yeah, he could he made less money than the Brandon Routh movie, and yeah. So, and let's see. Did you get your technology going then?
Gentlemen, we have the technology. I love that sentence ever since we were watching that pilot.
I gotta clip that.
So, okay. Let's see if we can do it now. I hope you're ready. This is like the biggest technological advancement that ever happened on the Night Owl.
Wow. We're honored to be here for this.
Okay.
Exciting.
I'm still trying to figure out how to do. Okay. This is it. This is the big one. Oh, I made a mistake. Hold on. No, this is the big one. Are you ready?
Yep.
Everybody's like so in suspense to see what the latest technological advancement in the Night Owl is. And
We're waiting. Yep.
here you go. I think that's better, right?
What just happened?
I fixed the logo.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff, right?
You might have oversold that, but just saying.
There's some
wow.
people, the two people on Twitch that are watching are super excited about this. They didn't even notice the change. No, but look, now it's more aesthetic. You know what I mean? The Night Owl on Rumble.
Yeah.
I think it looks cleaner now.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
good.
it's
This
better
is what
with
I'm going with.
Yes, it's better with the on. Yep, that's good graphic design. Yep, moving it down below. Yeah, I had to rewind the stream on my YouTube side to
See,
compare the two. But yeah, it
a lot of
flows
people,
much better.
a lot of people don't know this, but in my youth, I did take a class in graphic design. Still paying off until this very day.
Oh, how little did you know you would be using it so much in the far-flung future?
You know, at the end of the day, I'd like to think that at least some of what I do with like thumbnails or whatever, at least something I got from that class.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that my thumbnails are that good, but you know, at least something I got it.
I've always really enjoyed, all of my art and design classes, man. They were a good break from some of the other classes. So.
Oh no, Marks for 7 is worrying me. He's like, oh, YouTube is going to start seeing the Rumble logo and you'll be finished. I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope that's not
a lot
the
of
case.
people are getting nuked these days, unfortunately. So every time I open up my YouTube studio, it's not just you're always like, oh god, I hope everything's okay in the virtual world.
Kayla Levine says, Price, I didn't even notice you had a logo until you pointed it out. I did. And now we can get to the James Gunn story, which basically James Gunn today accidentally admitted that he's a failure. And I love it when James Gunn just does something stupid like that. Let me see if I can find it. James Gunn, I think it was one of those stupid threads things that he does.
Yeah, doesn't he do that every time he opens his mouth, though? Like, something stupid.
Hold on one second. Trying to see. Now I can't find it. I wonder if he deleted that comment.
Oh, you didn't screenshot?
Screenshot it, yeah.
Oh, here, I found it. Okay.
Okay, good. Presentation mode.
Okay. So this is the James Gunn thing. And somebody asked him, we can only assume that this isn't James Gunn asking himself.
Well, we've seen that before.
I mean, there was once a time that it seemed like he was doing that, but
he's totally doing that. Totally.
Either he deleted it quickly. I don't know if there was 100. Whoever shared something that would incriminate him in this, I couldn't tell if it was doctored or not, meaning somebody could have doctored it. And even though I was about like 80-90% sure he really did open a burner account and communicate with himself, I'll give him that 10 to 20% chance benefit of the doubt that he probably doesn't deserve. But that's what I think. So Murugan 2004 says, was a complete reboot and recasting ever considered? And why did you choose to keep Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, Cast, or some others? Nothing against it. I just wanted to understand the criteria for including some things and not others, and also the consequences of that narrative cohesion. So James Gunn says, Peacemaker 2 deals were all in place when I became head of DC. Now, first of all, this is strange because he's the one that would set those deals in motion.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I mean?
He Peacemaker,
I mean, he did Peacemaker. His wife was in it, which he cast in it. And then he made sure they all had deals. And he was already trying to get the role of the DC, co-CEO. This didn't just like land on his lap by accident. He lobbied for it. So he's making it seem like, oh, I didn't know what to do. Everybody wanted me to be CEO, but I also, there was this Peacemaker thing. It's like, dude, you were involved in all of this. And then it was either break everyone's contracts and pay out all that money and take away HBO's biggest show at the time. Now, we'll get back to that as saying, or find a way to make it work. I chose the latter, mostly, though, because I love the character and the show and thought that they could be an important part of the DCU. So, basically, what he's saying is this. On the eve of, like, him getting appointed to CEO, whatever, Peacemaker was doing well on HBO Max. And then he's saying at that time it was one of their strongest shows, but then jump forward to Peacemaker season 2 And it wasn't one of their biggest shows anymore. The contrary. Like the viewers fell off. He made it all the propaganda and nonsense and orange mustache men and all that stuff, and the viewership fell off a cliff. So he basically, and like I love how he's trying to navigate all around this. Like he's the one that closed the deals for season 2. He's the one that made sure that his wife got the job. He's the one that was, lobbying to become the co-CEO. When he became co-CEO, he didn't want his wife to lose her job. And then he also wanted to insert all of his politics into season 2, and that went off a cliff. Like, how much dancing around here, and no matter how much he dances around, the sentence of biggest show at the time is the one that incriminates him, really, if you got what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because even he can't say that it's their biggest show now. See, he could have said, well, it's their biggest show, but it isn't their biggest show. So all he could say was, it was their biggest show at the time.
Yeah, and also look what he says. I thought we could find a way to make it work. I thought it could be an important part of the DCU, which implies that it no longer is.
Remember when he said you had to watch Peacemaker season 2 to see Superman, Man of I almost said Superman, Man of Steel, but see Superman. Yeah. So I mean, there were some parts of season 2 I did enjoy, but definitely a downgrade from season 1. I thought there were some funny moments. Yeah. Well, Nathan Lane with that opening scene where like he doesn't realize that everyone the mic is on the whole time.
Well, he's got to support his wife and his brother and make sure all of his friends have overpaid jobs and, really give them way more money than they're worth. But, the other thing is that he didn't even show up to the meeting when the Ellisons bought he didn't show up to that first meeting. Like, I don't know if he is because he wasn't invited but he's already acting like he's kind of out of there. Oh, and they just put all of his other projects on ice, so no more authority. We've got Woman of Tomorrow, Man of Tomorrow, and Clayface, and that's it. And I think, I think his days are numbered, man. He's not acting. He's not even acting now like he's at work. Although he did say, it's really impossible to run a studio and direct, so there's another admission of failure.
Here's another thing. Somebody says, wait, so since you're not writing on season 2 of Creature Commandos, are you a producer or involved in the story process? Are you still in the writer's room? So he's wrote, yeah, I'm involved like I am on all DC films, shows, and games. Well, not the Matt Reeves one usually. Yeah. And I'm an EP like on the other shows.
Yeah, because think of it, running the studio. I mean, directing a movie is a full-time job. So how could you direct a movie and run a studio? It doesn't seem possible.
Yeah, but it's like, well, he didn't write or direct Supergirl. Yeah, are you kidding me? Have you seen the trailer? It's the exact same movie you always make with the exact same music you put. Like, don't.
I thought it was directed by him when I saw the trailer, actually.
Yeah, no, it was totally, he cast somebody to pretend to be, it's like Zack Snyder's cinematographer. They're just sitting around while Snyder does all the stuff. Like that guy didn't direct this.
I'll tell you what it's kind of like. Remember Poltergeist and Steven Spielberg?
Yeah.
So whoever that guy Hooper is,
Toby Hooper is whoever that guy is that's directing Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, whatever that movie is called. Yeah.
He found his Toby Hooper. He's like, put his thumbprint on the whole thing, James Gunn. It's exactly a movie that James Gunn would do, and he brought a guy with like one credential to just fill his spot and do what he would do.
Yeah, the other thing, for whatever reason, Zaslav was kind of running cover for Gunn, but now he's out of there and he's just waiting for his $850 million payout. Gunn doesn't really have anyone covering him for him or watching his back.
No, Gunn I think is done. I don't really see a way for him to fix the situation. One thing that may happen for Gunn that may temporarily, maybe he'll be able to say something positive, is Clayface. I'm not saying that Clayface is going to make a lot of money, but if they didn't spend a lot of money on it, maybe it has a shot of not being a complete disaster financially. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know if
it does nothing for DC. It's not even a DC. The script was completely written, and it had nothing. They just shoehorned it into the
of course.
DCU after.
I know, I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you. But the way he'll spin it is, it was one of my DC projects, and look, it made money. Now, how much money it can make, I don't know, but it's the only one out of these movies that at least has a chance of making a few dollars, because nobody's expecting anything from it,
Yeah.
and it didn't cost a lot to make. So if he can somehow make like $100 million on it, it's already a win, I think.
Yeah. On the other hand, did you see the trailer? It just like maybe horror is a different genre that I don't always understand how it works. So maybe I can't.
Well, that's what he's hoping for. Here's what I think. Horror, a lot of times you have like a budget that's not so high. Okay, let's put it this way. If you guys now were asking me on a business level, if we wanted to become a studio, what's the quickest money we could make?
Yeah.
Horror. We spend like $10 to $20 million on some kind of horror movie. You don't always need the best actors. You don't always need the best whatever. You just, maybe you need one actor that's halfway decent, or that somebody knows, along with a bunch of other people nobody's ever heard of. And, you have them walking around in the forest, and there's some like weird like creature that wants to chase them or something. And you spend like $20 million on it. Maybe you make like $100 million. That's, even if you make like $70 million, it's still a win. So that's why that horror genre is good, if you can pull it off. And James Gunn basically figured, I'll do one movie that's sort of a horror movie, so we won't spend a gazillion dollars on it, and maybe it can just do well enough to sort of show that it's not a failure. Now, I will say this. How much did Clayface cost? Clayface cost. Do we know
40 million.
So still it needs like 100 million just to break even. It would have been better if he did it for like $10 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And $10 million would have been a win for him.
And he knows how to do that, because all the trauma movies that he made cost like $25.
Right.
Yeah, and that's in his wheelhouse too. No,
yeah,
I'm sure we're gonna, maybe at the end we'll get like a scene of the Batman or like a bat symbol, but you're not going to get Batman in this movie. And sometimes it bugs me to have these, origin stories, but this could be interesting. The trailer looks good, and it's going to be a body horror.
Yeah, I don't think it looks good, but that's just me. I'm not a big horror guy.
It's a genre that has people that are interested in it,
Yeah.
People go see it. I think it's smart to go the horror route, because like we're just saying, it's the most bankable genre right now, and you might get people to see it who were not superhero fans, which it's on the downtrend now. But maybe I'll go see this Clayface movie. And is it opening? When is it opening? If they were smart, they do it over Halloween. But is this going to be a summer movie, or I'm forgetting when this is coming out?
I can't remember. Can you look when it's coming out?
Yeah. I don't think it's that soon.
Because it'd be a perfect November, October movie.
Yeah, but they never release horror movies. Yeah, okay, this is October 23rd. Yeah.
All right, there you go. They listened to me. Because you remember when Disney released the Haunted House movie in July? I'm like, what's going on with this releasing in July?
But
Haunted House.
I just hate when they skin suit the stuff. That's the thing, man. This didn't. It just, I've got a story I want to tell, but nobody's going to want to see it. So I'm going to pretend that it's from J.R.R. Tolkien, and then I'm going to have a huge built-in audience. Although I'm not sure Clayface, I don't think they're not really going for the DC. They're going for the horror audience. So there was never any reason to shoehorn this into the DCU.
Well, I think they love doing all these villain origins. They tried it with Venom, and I think it's a moderate success with that first Venom movie, and then argue diminishing returns. Morbius was a complete disaster. The Spider, what was the Spider Girl or Madam Web movie? And my wife watched it. She's on net. I'm like, Maureen, why did you watch it? She's like, oh, it popped up in my Netflix feed with all the ladies. And she's like, that had to be one of the worst movies I've ever watched. She's like, I just kept watching it to see how bad it was. And you know, the morons. It's like you've got Sydney Sweeney. You think you put her in the Jessica Carpenter Spider Girl,
Yeah.
Spider Woman outfit for like the whole movie, at least. I mean, the movie was still could have stunk, but
Yeah, no,
They
it's
underutilized Sydney Sweeney in that. That's
Yeah.
the biggest crime of the movie, that I can't believe that they had her, and they just like, they're like, let's make her look bad. It's that's
very
the
bad.
weirdest. Very bad. It's like the worst she's ever looked is in that movie.
Yeah.
And really, that's exactly the movie that you need to make her look her best. That's not the movie to make her look bad. Makes no sense whatsoever. Also, I'll be honest with you, that Madam Web movie, I went to the movie theater to watch it when it came out, and I think that maybe there was like only one or two other people in the theater. It was like a big theater, and I think there was like one or two other people. And there were parts of this movie that I was laughing
because it was so bad.
hysterically, because it's so bad that I
like Big River is saying, yeah, unintentionally funny film.
burst out laughing. And I feel like the two people there were like looking at me because they didn't understand why I was laughing. The only time that I really, I felt like the Cape Fear when you see Robert De Niro in the theater.
Yeah.
With a cigar. There was one time that I felt like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear. What happened is that I think it was the movie Wish. And Wish was like, they wanted to do kind of a throwback to their old school animated movies, Disney, on their 50th anniversary or whatever it was. And they did a movie. Do you know what Wish is?
Yeah, it's a disaster. It was ugly and awful. And
no, but do you know what the story is of Wish?
What it was supposed to be, or what it ended up being?
No, what the story is. Basically, there's a diverse girl, and
her
basically, what'd you say?
Yeah, and her father's in charge of granting wishes.
No, it's not her father. Okay, so there's a king who everybody loves. Everybody loves this king, and he grants people wishes. And then she kind of gets a job to intern for him. So, throughout the first day, he's so charming and he's nice and everything's great about him. And he's like singing and dancing and like he's so great. And then it turns out that he's like actually a crook, and he's cheating people with their wishes, and he's making them disappear and doing all this bad stuff. And then like she discovers it. And then it turns out like he's the most evil man ever. Now, as I was watching this, I at every step knew, because I knew what the Disney agenda was, especially at that moment. Maybe they're cooling it a bit now, but I'm like, okay, he has to be bad now. Where's the part that he becomes bad? And then he does something bad. And like every time I was thinking that something was going to happen, it happened. And the way like it unfolded on screen, I found myself laughing hysterically. I was laughing throughout this movie, but there was a point in the movie where like I was howling, like it was a huge laugh that like nobody could ignore. So at the end of the movie, the king that's become like more evil and more evil and more evil, he's standing like high on this tower, and underneath are all these people that look very diverse, okay, including the main girl. And he's like trying to take, he's like wants to destroy like, Law and Order. He's whatever. He wants Law and Order. I don't know what it all had to do. It very much winked to like real world propaganda. But when I saw him standing there and all the people like miserable and the diverse people, I said like the only thing that's missing now is that he puts to myself, I said it, that he puts all these people in chains now. And then like he waves his hand and does a spell, and all the diverse people are like standing in chains. And I burst out laughing, like such a big laugh in the theater.
It was so obvious, right?
It was like the biggest laugh I think anybody's ever laughed in that theater. And then suddenly I look to the left of me and I see like a mother and a little girl looking at each other and at me, almost like the mother thinks that I'm Robert De Niro. Like, don't pay attention to this weird man.
Oh my god!
Plus, the weird thing is that like I am a middle-aged like bum. Why am I sitting watching this shitty movie? Because I'm reviewing it, but they don't know that. You know what I mean? His mother took her daughter.
What are you doing there?
Yeah, that's why you always have to carry a big pad and a pen with you into the movies. So take notes. And
it's too much effort for me. And I feel like that mother was thinking, who is this man? Why is he sitting in this movie for like little girls? and like you could, if I could show you the look on their faces, and
Oh
somehow,
no.
unfortunately, that added to the comedy of the situation. I tried. I mean, obviously, I don't want to scare the mother and the little girl, but there was something comical about the situation, because I understood what was really happening. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
You know, it's funny because Sydney Sweeney was really excited to play. Was it Cornwall? Did she play? But she got into shape. She put on the
Oh,
spider
Jessica
costume.
Carpenter.
Yeah, she did the pole dancing,
Yeah.
and then she wasn't in the costume for what, like 5 seconds? I can't even remember if they showed her at all.
Well, I think the costume was an add-on too. Then they said, if I'm remembering correctly, that they said, "Well, what do you mean we're not going to be in costume?" You know, and Dakota Johnson said the same thing. Like when they got the idea, and then when they got the script, and they're like, "Well, wait a minute, I'm not going to be, in the costume fighting crime." They're like, no, so I think that whole scene was, if I'm not mistaken, was an add-on at the end,
Oh.
like 30-second scene where she's finally in costume, and they're showing them in the future, as finally as superheroes. It's
Yeah.
it's like, why did you
Yeah.
make the whole movie? And that whole, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and that whole, I always hated that storyline they put in where Spider-Man was, there was a totem, and there was all the spider gods, and it wasn't really the radioactive spider. Peter Parker naturally had those powers, and there's all these spider people, and it's just such a convoluted story. And Moreland was this character that was out to get him. And, it was just a horrific comic book. I'm reading, I'm like, this comic sucks. And then they pick that storyline to make this movie out of. It's like, total morons. I mean, just idiots. Like, no one liked that storyline. Everyone hated that storyline. So stupid.
That's one of the problems, is that the comics suck now, so they have nothing. They don't have any good stories to bring over into the cinema anymore. So because the comic industry is all but completely destroyed. So but you know what you
Yeah, but then but they got all the old classics that they could use. And
Price, you were talking about DC, and you're like, I forget, you said something. You know who they need to put in charge of DC? Because the only person that's done anything good with it now, Matt Reeves, he shouldn't be in charge, but he's doing Clayface. That might be good. And the Batman did well, at least it made 800 million. But they need to put Lauren LaFranc, the creator of the Penguin. She's the only person that did anything in the DCU that was like really good. I'd like to see what she can do.
I thought that the Penguin was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent.
There was another scene in which that also I laughed, but I couldn't tell that it was the Chains one that I think that the mother and the daughter were there. And it also adds to the creepiness that I don't think there was anybody in the theater except for me and the mother and the daughter, which makes it all the more weird.
Oh, it was like almost like an empty theater.
The movie was a big flop. It wasn't that I think it was anything special. It was just like me wanting to review it and a mother wanting to take her daughter to it. And I guess I reviewed it on the same day as that one mother that took her daughter to see the movie. And we, it couldn't have been, I think we came there for different reasons. The other part that made me laugh in the movie was there's a part that she has 3 friends. One is like an Asian girl, one is another diverse whatever, and then there's one regular guy. Okay, so she's trying to hide from this king or something like that, and it turns out there was a snitch, and somebody tipped off the king to where she's at, and then she arrives and she's like, how could somebody have known? Who would have tipped off who's the snitch, basically, who snitched on me to the king? And then the camera pans or whatever, and I'm like, it's got to be the white kid. You know what I mean? It's not going to be this diverse whatever. It's not going to be this other one. The white boy, he's the snitch. And then maybe 10, 15 seconds later, it's discovered that the white boy is the snitch. And that got a chuckle out of me too. It became a movie for me where I want to spot the agenda peddling before it happens. And I was like, I was batting really good that day. You know what I mean? Like every single thing, I caught it from miles away, and then it happened. And in some cases, maybe I caught it, but like I thought to myself, no, it can't be that bad. And then it was even either as bad or worse. So that was the Wish experience for me.
Yeah, and you can tell when the agenda is a mile away too, right? That was the whole point of that movie. I remembered it more now as you mentioned it, and yeah, it was supposed to celebrate all their animated tales, and didn't it tie into the? They tried to tie it into other Disney. Didn't they try to tie into the Snow White or?
Yeah, well, nothing exemplifies the failure of Disney like their 100th anniversary commemorative movie Wish, which was an utter failure and a flop, and that just shows how devastatingly creatively bankrupt Disney has become.
Yeah,
that movie deserved to flop. I really I had no feelings of guilt when they flopped with that movie. By the way,
all of their stuff has been flopping, but then they have one or two moneymakers a year, and it allows them to sort of do a little bit of illusion. Hey, look at this hand while the other hand's doing something. But one day they're not going to have that one big movie. Their whole year is going to be a disaster.
So Loya says, you scarred that daughter for life. Good job, Bryce. Now I'm laughing at this horribly weird situation. You became real life spillover of the agenda. Listen, I didn't mean to ruin. Honestly, I wasn't even thinking. I thought the theater was empty. You know what I mean? I didn't even realize the mother and the daughter really. Maybe I saw them at the corner of my eye, but I think that when I was laughing at that part, because it wasn't a part that was supposed to be funny either. That's the part where it's the big climax. It's like a dramatic climax of the movie. You're supposed to be really serious in that part, like bursting out and howling out of laughter is not the reaction that you're supposed to
right
have there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a serious moment. They're probably like, what is wrong with this guy? Yeah. Plus, especially it's more creepy. I'm not saying you're creepy, but if there's like you said, there's no one in the theater.
No one in the theater.
It's more awkward. You can't hide.
Yeah, nobody's in the theater for a movie for little girls except for a mother, her daughter, her young daughter, and me. That is the weirdest situation. But in my defense, I was only there to review it.
Yeah, but they didn't
know how this sounds,
right?
but I was only there to review it.
You're gonna put like an old hat on, make you look with a press sign or something on it. Yeah, that's honest. That's why I'm here. Yeah. Like I did something not exactly like that, but they had like a comic book thing in town at the library, and they had advertised all this stuff. And then I went there, and it was like all for little kids, but they were doing like a superhero contest, like trivia contest. When I walked in, a small local library, I'm like, I don't think I should be here. But then they're like, oh, why don't you join our team or whatever? Like, do you know anything about comic books? I'm like, well, I have 20,000 of them in my basement, but other than that, but it was like totally geared towards like young kids, and it was like little kids. I was like, oh shit, this is not, not a comic convention, or like there are no vendors there selling comics. It was good. I had a good time, but I was like, maybe I should leave, and they're like, no, join our team. We could use the help. Yep.
By the way, I just want to tell you that Wish was actually, if we were talking about Rumble, Wish was a turning point for me. You know why? Because I think that surprisingly, the video did well. Rumble sometimes is strange the way things work, and I do think they're improving over time with their algorithm. They're making a lot of changes even now as we speak. But it was a video that did well. Let me share this screen with you. I was very proud of this. See the Wish views.
Oh wow, 182,000 views. That's
to date,
huge.
Probably still one of my best videos ever, anywhere. So,
oh look, that's right up there with the Night Owl #2. Yeah. Wow.
Well, maybe the woman saw you on Rumble and realized and told her daughter, "Oh, you remember that weirdo from the movies? Look, he's got 180,000 views. Isn't he good?"
Well, yeah. I mean, as you can see, the Night Owl. That was the first Night Owl, the one on the bottom there, and #2 what are we now? Now I think we're 229. Number 2, Vex Electronica was the co-host of number 2. So yeah, that was
Rachel Ziegler did very well too. Yep. Is that 184?
No, that's the one I think 1.64.
Oh,
no,
1.6.
only the Wish one.
I gotta get new.
Yeah, no. Rachel,
I went to the eye doctor yesterday. Yep.
It's cool. No, but the Wish one, I was see. So it turned out okay that I went to the theater and watched that movie.
Hey,
you got your wish.
Is NCIS Sydney still going on, or did that get
I think
canceled?
it is. I think it is going on. The thing is that when I made this video, this NCIS Sydney movie video, what I was talking about in it, is that CBS, because like Hollywood were doing all these writers' strikes, they were looking for creative ideas for how to get like shows to put on the air, even though they didn't have shows. So it turned out that in Australia, they approved a local, like they licensed or approved a local spin-off called like NCIS Sydney that was supposed to only be shown in Australia. And it was supposed to be like a local production that still has maybe some, consults with the local, the US company, but it's supposed to be tailored for Australia. Okay?
Yep.
Now, part of this whole, I don't know, maybe it was quote unquote a happy accident or whatever it is for CBS. Part of what happens on NCIS Sydney is that there's 2 representatives supposedly from like the Navy, from the US Navy, that are in Australia, trying to solve crime, or I don't know how they even try to explain it. But basically, there's 2 Americans there. Oddly, the Americans are played by British actors that actually do American accents pretty well. So nobody notices, but I think they're British. In any case, the 2 Americans are there, and they're in this local place, and they team up with a few other locals in Australia. So it's sort of like a joint task force of like local Aussies and a few Americans. And it was supposed to be tailored for the Aussie audience or whatever. CBS sees all of that, and instead of them like doing a much smaller scale thing in Australia, suddenly they're like on primetime CBS instead of the real NCIS because of the strike. Now, I assume that whoever the actors are on this NCIS show with Sydney, probably that's like the best thing that ever happened to them. Because like initially this wasn't supposed to be like such a big deal. Now, you may like NCIS and you may not like it, but suddenly that now you're on primetime in CBS replacing like the flagship show, it couldn't have worked out better for them. And not only that, it turns out that this show that I think was a lot cheaper to produce, a lot cheaper to put together for CBS for whatever reasons, suddenly people were watching it. The ratings for it were actually decent for them. So then they're like, fuck it, we'll do more of this.
Yeah, and they're still doing 20 episode seasons, and they're finished up their 3rd season.
They are?
It's like a real show. Okay, maybe not. They've had 33 episodes, so I guess that's they're counting it differently. But yeah, they've had 3 seasons of 11 episodes each. Okay.
I mean, I see that season 3 has 18 episodes.
Yeah, the count that doesn't make sense unless
okay. I can solve this all for you. Season 1 had 8 episodes because it was again, like sometimes in Europe and in Australia and stuff like that, they don't have like a million episodes. They'll be like, here's 8. And they're like, oh, thank you. You made 8 episodes. Wow. You know what I mean? So they did the first 8 episodes. They saw it was going well, and they're like, fuck it, we need more of it. So they're like, fine, we'll do more. So they did 10, and they had like 10 for what's his face, like they had 10 episodes for season 2. But then they're like, man, can't we do more than 10 episodes a season? Probably CBS was saying, listen, we're not spending so much on this. Australia gives them tax breaks. All these actors, like, they take less. The whole production costs less to make. They're like, fuck, more episodes. So the 3rd season, they're making 20 episodes.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I did a video at the time.
What's the standard episode run of a normal broadcast TV show? Is like 20, still 22 episodes, or is it?
Yeah, it's 22, but they've been trimming it back. But Australia is weird. They have some shows that have 6 or 8 episodes a season. Other shows have 30 or 40. They have they're sort of like soap opera shows.
Okay.
That run really long. But yeah,
Yeah.
U.S. broadcast, it's still, around 22.
22. Yeah, but most of, I think most people watch mostly streaming these days, and streaming's get 8, 10, 6. It's laughable. Like, you talk about Star Trek, and they're, like Starfleet Academy, they're saying we had 2 seasons. They're gonna have 20 episodes. Star Trek had what was it, 27 episodes in the first season, or 20? Yeah.
Imagine how bad it would. We don't want any more episodes of Starfleet Academy.
I actually think that I've shown this before, but I'll make you suffer through it. This was my my special NCIS Sydney thing. I haven't watched it. I think maybe a year and a half ago I once put this on, so everybody will suffer once.
A few weeks ago, I was resting on my couch.
Could you hear it?
Yeah, we can hear it. Yep.
Was it too loud? It was also
a little loud.
Okay, I'll lower it. It was me with my higher voice.
A few weeks ago, I was resting on my couch when I...
Too loud, or is it better?
No, that's good.
Better. Suddenly received an invitation.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, I was resting on my couch when I suddenly received an invitation to see an advanced screening of a new TV show from CBS and Paramount Plus called NCIS Sydney. Obviously, my first reaction to this was complete shock, as until now, I'm actually not quite sure why I was even invited. But oddly, for a number of reasons, this new show did pique my interest. While rather generic procedural shows like NCIS aren't exactly my preferred type of entertainment, in its early days, I didn't mind the original flagship NCIS show starring Mark Harmon. I mean, the writing on these type of shows has always been very generic and predictable, but if nothing else, those early years of the original NCIS series did have a very likable ensemble cast with good on-screen chemistry. Over the years though, as most of the longtime cast members from that era have gradually departed, in my opinion, NCIS has lost much of its charm. Again, I've never considered it anything special to begin with, but it's easy to process programming that doesn't really demand much of its viewers, like a hybrid between comfort food and a guilty pleasure. NCIS has also spawned a number of spin-offs, but I've never really been a big fan of any of them. NCIS LA featured the late Miguel Ferrer, who I liked from the movie RoboCop, but he wasn't really given much to do there. NCIS New Orleans featured Scott Bakula, best known for Quantum Leap in Star Trek Enterprise, and while I genuinely like him as an actor, I think his talent was pretty much wasted on that show. NCIS Hawaii, I simply never got around to watching, so I can't really comment on it. But this new NCIS Sydney show, set completely outside the US and featuring a more international cast, seemed like it was trying to do something a bit different. And since I was genuinely curious to see how it would play out, I decided to confirm my presence at this premiere. Upon my arrival at the event, I was immediately given an official NCIS Sydney bag with a hat, cup, and bottle opener thingy, which was kind of nice, but not everything was fine and dandy at the premiere. You see, guests of this screening were served a variety of cocktails, but unfortunately, and I hope you're sitting down for this, all of the cocktails that were served at this event were alcohol-free. And quite honestly, this baffled me, because if you're going to invite people to see an advanced screening of an NCIS show, alcoholic beverages are very much needed. But aside from the beverage issue, everything else went smoothly with the screening. As far as plot goes, the episode starts off at a press event in Sydney where a US Navy officer collapses and dies. Initially, there's some tension between Michelle Mackey, an American NCIS agent, and JD, a local sergeant in the Australian Federal Police, over who will conduct the investigation. Ultimately, it is decided by their superiors that they must work together on the case, with Mackey leading the joint investigation team. Throughout the episode, there are a number of twists and turns that involve radioactive leaks and espionage, and while on the surface it seems like the joint American-Aussie team is successful in solving the case, it appears that there's still more work that needs to be done. So by the end of the episode, it's decided that the Australians and Americans that we meet in this episode will all be working together moving forward as some sort of joint Australian-American task force under the banner of NCIS. Now, you can see by this plot description that there's nothing exactly groundbreaking about this show's writing, but it's certainly serviceable enough for a procedural NCIS pilot episode. It has the right twists and turns in the right places, and however preposterous, it kind of works within this specific genre. I also think that creatively, highlighting the differences between the two main characters is very effective. JD is a cocky and arrogant local Aussie police guy that kind of reminds me of an old school Tony DiNozzo. And while Michelle keeps trying to assert dominance in every situation, it's clear that she isn't able to get things done without him. I actually like seeing this power struggle play out and seeing these two characters of different backgrounds being forced to work together. It's a tried and true storytelling technique, but sometimes these simple ideas actually work. Another strength here is the casting, especially of Todd LaSance as JD and William McInnes as the team doctor. As for the actors of the American team, I'm still kind of on the fence. Maybe it's because both of these actors are actually from England and they're attempting to speak with an American accent. Olivia Swan, who plays Mackie, looks and seems pleasant enough and has very good on-screen chemistry with Todd LaSance, but speaking in a non-native American accent makes her performance seem a bit wooden at times. Perhaps as the show progresses, she will manage to improve and overcome this. I certainly hope so, as I don't dislike her. Sean Sager has a more convincing American accent and seems like a decent actor, but I feel that he still has to really grow into this role. The other two Aussie ladies on the show were mostly forgettable, but it is a new show and they weren't really given much to do. On a business level, I consider this show a type of industry game changer. You see, originally this show was supposed to be only shown in Australia, as it is produced by an Australian team for that specific audience. However, due to the 2023 writers and actors strike of Hollywood, CBS and Paramount decided to release NCIS Sydney in the US simply because they didn't have any other new programming to show their viewers. And as of now, the results seem to be good for them, with the debut of this show being one of their strongest premieres in a very long time. I strongly believe that moving forward, based on this success, other studios and networks may look to have more international productions in their pipeline so that they wouldn't have to solely rely on the Hollywood system during future strikes. Overall, based on its pilot, I would say that NCIS Sydney is an acceptable enough series for the procedural investigation genre, and with its international setting and likable cast, I think this is probably the best NCIS I've seen since the early days of the flagship show. So if you like the NCIS franchise and procedural investigation shows, this show is probably something you'll enjoy. If I had to give it a grade, with the understanding of exactly what it's supposed to be, I would give it a 70 out of 100, which means that it gets a passing grade. What did you think about NCIS Sydney? Did you love it? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channels and also clicking on that wonderful notification bell. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
Well, that's a good job on that synopsis there.
Right, and the thing is that the reason why I played it is that I said, imagine, I only saw one episode of this. This is just, I saw it before it premiered on CBS, meaning before the first episode was ever shown in the US, I was invited to a screening where I saw the episode, okay? Very weird, but that's really what happened. So I went to the screening and I watched the thing, and when I saw it, this was my review of when I saw it, and my review was on point. Basically, I said, one, that I think that... I think that what happened is that I saw it and then it premiered the next day or something like that. I saw it in the theater, then it premiered, and maybe I did the video after it already premiered. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like it was the course of a few days. Like I saw it at the beginning.
It wasn't
of the
a long time in between. Yeah.
A few days later, they showed it, and then I did my review or something like that. It's possible that the reason I waited was because nobody even knew what this show was. So for me to do an early review for something nobody's heard of, 5 people would have watched it, which they did now anyways. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think that I released it around the time of the premiere so that way maybe somebody's actually looking to talk about it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's, you want to time it that way. Yeah.
So what happened was, I'm also remembering. So the bottom line is, I knew that this thing would appeal to CBS because they would want to pay less money and have more episodes and more content. And I think I was right about it.
The show's still going too, right? So it's still...
I couldn't get past that guy. He looked like Timu Damian Lewis. I just couldn't get past him, man.
I mean, again, I'm saying this, and I said it in my review. It's not a show that's like, I'm not the target audience for it. I didn't think it was the best thing I'd ever seen. But if you like that kind of show, then it's serviceable enough for whatever it is. At least that early episode was. I don't know what happened later. Maybe it fell off a cliff. Watching the first episode, I thought that for whatever it's supposed to be, I've seen even worse NCIS shows, if that makes sense.
Well, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's a long running, genre or series, with NCIS. So it's like if you like Star Trek, you're gonna give, another Star Trek show. I'm not, let's stay away from the Academy stuff, but in general, if you like that genre, it's like, all right, let's just see another group. It's like you're replicating this cookie cutter formula, which I liked your cookie cutter in the video. And but yeah, if it's well done, the actors are done, and you like that kind of thing, it's like comfort food, right? It's your old friend that you're back to.
Procedurals are the comfort food of American television, but the thing is, from the very first episode of the very first NCIS, which my parents loved, like they stretched the goal of the naval into just beyond credulity. The Navy doesn't have anything to do with these fucking crimes, right? This is like straight up FBI shit, but somehow they managed to get the Navy involved every time. But yeah, it is. It's absolute comfort food. Medical shows and procedurals. That was like 90% of American television, and the rest were sitcoms. And that basically, that was all the filler in between the occasional good show that they would have. Yeah.
Yeah, you got cops, you got cowboys, you got
cops are procedurals, so
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, those it's basically the same show, but it's just a different genre. You take it from I love the show Emergency. God, I love that show, but it's classic procedural.
Yeah, but I love how okay, you guys are the Navy, but you're going to be involved in it, and then the next guys is like, yeah, you're the CSI, but we're going to send you out in the field with some guns and. You're going to trade off some shots with these gang members in between collecting evidence. Are you up for it? Like it's the exact same show, kind of in a, whatever skin suit they have. The same with all those Chicago shows. Oh my God. You could take ER and graft it onto the Chicago hospital, and then the Chicago fire, you can graft that onto the other fire,
Yeah, well, The Pit, that new show, I haven't watched it, with Noah Wyle, is a massive hit, I guess. I'm seeing the ratings. And that was actually supposed to be a reboot of ER. And I know the Crichton estate is sued. I don't know what the status of that is, but, so basically, I guess they couldn't get the rights or continue ER. So they're like, we're just going to do another procedural show that happens to star Noah Wyle, who was on ER, but it's not his character from ER, but,
It really
how
kind
do
of
you,
is.
Yeah, but how do you copyright a show about a emergency room or hospital?
Well, you can't do that, but it's just like, well, we're not going to call her Red Sonja, and we're not going to call him Conan, but you know who it is, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to call her Red Sonja.
I mean, the thing is it like another hospital show?
The Pit?
Yeah.
It's another hospital.
I can't stand those shows. I'm going to be honest with you. Fuck all those hospital shows.
Yeah, but it's grittier. It's dirtier. It's
screw all of those. I never enjoy those stupid hospital ones. It's like there's two things that I usually don't like. I don't like too much drama in a police station shows, and I don't like too much drama in a hospital ones.
Yeah.
Now, if it's more like they're solving mysteries and stuff and real crime,
Quincy, how about Quincy MD? ME?
Yeah, no. I mean, if they're solving mysteries and crime, I have a different opinion about it. But I'm talking about the ones that, like, I don't know, was it Hill Street Blues and St. Elsewhere? All that, like, I feel like every show that has come out, there's been like those were the prototypes. Hill Street Blues and St. Elsewhere were like the prototypes for all the shit that we see until this day. Grey's Anatomy, ER, all this shit. Fuck all those shows. I don't have time for people, being in a hospital is shitty. I don't want to see a bunch of miserable people that are sick in a hospital and some people falling in love over it and talking about their feelings. I can't stand it. It fucking sucks, in my opinion.
Yeah, so at least The Pit doesn't have, at least it's not New Amsterdam. Remember, that was the show where your son's cancer was caused by racism.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I mean, at least it had Martha from Doctor Who on it, but I still wouldn't watch the show, even though I did like her as Martha.
No, I'd watch Martha all damn day long, though. But she did not. She didn't last long enough on Doctor Who, man. I thought she was going to be around. What happened?
I don't know.
Only two seasons, I think that
right?
Yeah,
wasn't she 2 series?
And then who do we get to replace her? Ugh. Catherine Tate.
Yeah, that was a downgrade for me. I mean, listen, I at the end I accepted Catherine Tate that she was there and she's quirky and whatever. She got some good storylines, but honestly, Martha really liked that character. I don't know why she wasn't on for more. She was a companion that I could have spent more time with, and
I love the Catherine Tate episodes though. The doc,
right,
yeah,
the first episode was hysterical. Oh my
Yes.
god, I was laughing hysterically.
Yeah,
the wedding,
that's why
the
I just had
doctor
to
show.
pretend that in my head that it was still Martha.
I mean, like again, there's upsides to Catherine Tate and her storylines and whatever, but overall, like she was a bit too quirky and goofy. Like I liked Martha better. Really, Martha for me was in the modern era one of the better companions, and I don't know why we didn't get more of her. Really unfortunate. But on New Amsterdam, that show is shitty.
Well,
I don't like those things, so I don't like that. And like if it's about a police station and it's like The Shield, that I can get
Oh,
behind.
Shield was hard hitting. Oh god, that was
yeah,
Yeah,
what
I
a
mean-
show that was. Yeah, Michael Chiklis. Yeah,
it was a show that, in my opinion, probably went on for like 2 seasons more than it needed to. But even the 2 seasons that went beyond what it needed to weren't terrible. And I do think that the season wrapped up pretty nicely. The only thing that kind of until this day kind of bothers me, there's one thing that happens in this series that really like disturbed me. Like it managed to make me disturbed, really. I don't know. There were a lot of weird things that happened, so it could have been a few things that got me disturbed, but there was one especially. It had to do with the police chief. Does anybody know what I'm talking
I
about?
don't. Yeah, it's been
No,
years since I saw
you've
that
lost
show.
me.
I feel like I'm still traumatized by that episode until today. Like,
Because he was such a corrupt. They were all corrupt on that show, weren't they? That
yeah,
was
they
The
were
Shield.
corrupt. He
Yeah.
was a slippery police chief, but like, oh, he was like a chief that then became the mayor or whatever. I don't remember now. But there was an episode with that guy that like they went to a certain place with it, and I said, man, I can't believe they went there. Like, I was genuinely shocked. That, like, it's hard to shock me, and like I looked at him like, can't believe they went there. It's awful.
So I was just looking up the Pit. Do you know what the cost of having a white guy be your lead in the show? Of the top 12 billed characters, there are 8 diverse women and 3 diverse men and 1 white guy.
It was not from ER.
No, that's the Pit.
It's not from
That's like, okay, we'll give you the lead, but that's it. Everyone
By the
else-
way, I just want to say that one thing I was kind of surprised about The Devil Wears Prada is that, sure, I said that they, respected the source of the original movie because they respect the ladies. But one thing that I thought would happen is that they'd immediately like shove all the quote unquote diversity in the world all across the board and whatever. They didn't really do that. Like they, the 4 main actors of this movie are white, and they remained white and weren't like standing around and apologizing for that, like they
yeah,
just
but there
being
were
themselves.
women.
Because it was women, yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that like Stanley Tucci, although not in real life, but I assume that on this movie is maybe considered an LG character. I don't really know, so it seems like that's what it would be. I have no idea, but maybe
and Anne
that's
Hathaway was upset that there were too many skinny actresses.
yeah. Well, we
Did
said
you
they
notice
did the
any
virtue.
dimensionally?
Yeah, we
dimensionally
talked about
challenged
that.
people?
They did the virtue signaling outside of the movie for this one. We talked
no.
about that
What
earlier.
what they did is that like, basically, Meryl Streep had 2 assistants this time, but the movie didn't focus on them. It focused on whoever were her assistants in the past, which is like Anne Hathaway and let's say Emily Blunt and Stanley Tucci and whatever. So these 2 kind of assistants that worked for her, one of them was like a very plump white guy, and the other one was like a thin, diverse woman, or somewhat thin, diverse woman.
Yeah.
So that was their like big thing. They had one person that was like plump and one diverse, but those characters didn't really get a lot to do. They didn't feel like they didn't show up every second to like, lecture people. Do you get what I mean? They weren't like girl bosses or
They were just there.
They were just kind of there, almost like somebody just said, "Well, let's do a check mark here and put them here."
Yeah.
Just interesting because it's the only time I've seen Disney, like, actually not try to do all this weird stuff. Uh, Not that I
Well,
care. I mean, they could have brought somebody that was diverse, but they almost went out of their way, like, to do not that this time around.
yeah, but this wasn't really Disney's movie. It's under their umbrella, but they were not allowed. They wouldn't have been allowed to meddle in this one. This is right, because the first one is a part of Fox, right?
I don't know. Let me see for a second. What was the first one? Let's see.
Yeah, because I don't think they didn't do the first one. This is
You're right. It was Fox, the first one.
yeah. So just like it's like Avatar. They get to call it theirs, but they ain't getting most of the money, and they're not calling the shots here, especially with I'm on Meryl. We're gonna take care of Meryl. I'm sure she gets about half the money from that movie on the front end.
Meryl, you're on Meryl duty.
Yes, which sounds like should only be a job for a gay guy. I'm just saying.
Well, she's an aloe expert, though, so thankfully we had her testifying in Congress about aloe on apples.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Yeah, well, she's actors. I mean, they're experts on everything.
Yeah. My dog has been to more school than most actors have been. He would never learn to fetch, man. I had to go like 3 times.
I mean, the thing is, here's probably the reason why they were able to do this. They brought back the original cast, the original screenwriter, and the original director. And I think that the reason why it worked was that they could, first of all, I only saw this now, the writing of the sequel does feel like something of a smooth transition, even though 20 years have passed. It does seem like where maybe these characters would be later, written by the same person that initially written it. I can see that. And same director, I can see that as well. Now, it could be that getting all these people attached, regardless of Fox or not, because Disney owned Fox, so they can do whatever they want. But maybe with the type of clout that these people have, they could just say, listen, we'll do your movie, but we're getting all the creative control. You're not meddling. You're not saying anything. You want Devil Wears Prada 2? We're all going to sign for it, whether it's Meryl Streep or whatever. We're going to sign for it. We're going to write and direct it. You guys are not meddling creatively.
Yep.
And none of these actors, I mean, I don't think that any of those 4 actors are like, itching for work. You know what I mean? Like, I think that all of them have a lot of money at this point. You could claim that maybe we haven't seen Anne Hathaway in a while, but I almost feel like it was her decision. I don't feel like she wanted to be in stuff. So,
well, she doesn't need to work. Her husband's rich, and Meryl Streep's been on that Netflix show forever now, and she's got to be worth, Yeah, I'm sure they just did it. It was like an ego thing, or they might have had fun making it. Is their thing. But yeah, Disney was never going to be able to touch this one. But again, that's why the marketing, that's with the promotion, that's where you can see their fingerprints.
Now, how did this movie end up doing?
It just
opened. I think it's been one day in the theater, and I think it already made close to $50 million or something. It's going to make money. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
This movie is going to make money. It says that it cost $100 million to make. I think that if it makes like $250 or $300 million at the box office, let's say $300 million with all their weird marketing, $300 million, and it becomes profitable. I can easily see this making that money. It's going to make that money.
Yeah.
And plus, it's got that built-in audience. This is a very popular, hugely popular movie. So,
right.
With a certain demographic. God, my sister loves fashion, and doesn't float my boat, but with a certain audience, it's huge. So, and then you've got the nostalgia factor too, coming back years later. People love to see those characters. You'd love to see those characters again if you're into it. So,
absolutely. What I wanted to tell you is that out of the actors, like the 4 main actors, the quote unquote poorest actor out of them. Like if you look at Meryl Streep, she has like 120 million or 160 million dollars. You know, Anne Hathaway has like 80 or 100 million. Emily Blunt has like 80 million, and like the quote unquote poorest one is Stanley Tucci, who supposedly has 25 million dollars.
Oh,
So.
the pauper.
Right. So I'm saying, like, I don't think any of these people are at the point of their career that they could be bullied into like rejoining this thing. They probably all wanted a decent payday, but also, you know, they probably weren't just going to accept any screenplay or do anything. And the guys that came back to write and direct the movie probably had some demands, and including these actors. So all the stuff that they wanted to do, they couldn't do it here, I guess. Not necessarily because it's a Fox movie, but because of the people involved. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you've got some big names involved too.
Right. I mean, maybe
you
they
can't get much more pull than Meryl Streep, I think.
Right, and that's why I also tend to think that the reshoot, I was telling Ista before and Professor that I think there was a reshoot that nobody's talking about, that there was a scene inserted at the very end of the movie that felt like Emily Blunt looked completely different and it was shoved in there last minute to sort of give her a little bit of a redemption after something that happens in the movie. And I think that one, it could be, you know, that there was a focus group that said, oh, like, you know, why didn't you give her a redemption? But it could also be a situation that maybe, you know, with the type of stars attached and where they're at in their careers now, maybe Emily Blunt and her people were like, we don't really like ending this movie, you know, without a little bit of a redemption. Do you get it? What I'm saying? Like, it could have come from there. It could have come, you know, from focus groups, or it could also be that, you know, they're thinking, well, if this goes well, we'll do a third movie. If we end all of this on exactly the way we ended it, without a little bit of like redemption, maybe, you know, it won't be as smooth sailing to enter into a third movie. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So one of those reasons, nobody's admitted to the reshoots. I'm the only one. As somebody said, I'm Price of Reason on the scene.
On the scene, yep.
On the scene.
Well, I mean, don't most movies have reshoots? I mean, I'm you know, my day job is engineering, so but I've, you know, love following movies and pop culture, and but you know, it seems like it's pretty standard fare to do reshoots, right?
This didn't look like a standard reshoot. It looked like a reversal of the original ending.
Oh, see, let me look for a second what she looks like now. Emily Blunt. Let's see. What does she look like usually? Let's see where she's at an event now, okay? Is that where do you have like a recent picture, Ista?
Of Emily Blunt?
Yeah.
Or me? Yeah. You know, she looked really rough in the Smashing Machine, and I wasn't sure if that's just her or they purposely went for that look in the movie.
Okay. Let me see for a second. How did she look in the Smashing Machine?
She looked like she hit a wall pretty hard. So here's a current one. I'll DM it to you. Hold on.
Usually she's pretty darn cute.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying that was a weird movie. They necessarily, you know, they might not have been going for, they might have been uglifying her. God knows they're good at that now, right? Like,
yeah.
All right, I'm DMing you a current picture of Miss Blunt. Here you go.
How old
Looks like she's had a little work done around the eyes.
Well, she's only 43. Okay, she's a youngin.
Yeah,
relative.
she's had some work done around the eyes, minimum. Did you get it, Price?
Hold on one second.
I'm thinking of anyone remembers the classic movie with Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell, Exit to Eden, and they did some reshoots of that, and like Rosie had like tried back.
Where's this photo from, Ista?
This one was from a recent. Let's see. Let me look at the meta. Hold on.
But what happened with the Exit to Eden? Rosie had gained like 40 pounds, and she had to get back into like the outfit quote unquote sexy outfit. It was like you could tell like where the reshoots were. There's nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, anything my brain had purged anything involving Rosie O'Donnell, and so I just have these blank spaces in my memory.
So basically, whatever you're seeing here, this is what she looks like in the reshoot. Throughout the whole movie, she has this kind of red hair that she had in the first movie, and at the end, they give her like a whole different type of hairdo, where the hair is sort of in front of her face, kind of, and it looks like this color, but it's I don't know how to say it, blown out differently or whatever. That sounded naughty, but I don't know how to explain it. You know, when a woman uses a hair dryer.
Yeah, this is probably the last stream that you really want to get down and dirty about women's hair on.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about women's hair.
I don't like your hair right there, and I don't have much hair, but I don't think the hairstyle's doing her any favors.
Now, this one is just from last month. Tell me she hasn't had a little more work done.
The one that you sent us from last month?
No. I just sent you another one that's from last month. It looks like she's changing her look again, but now this one looks seriously post-op. Her eyes, she doesn't even have the same eyes anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. This is the other one?
Yeah, that one's very recent. It's a month ago.
I see. Yeah, it looks like she's doing something and it's not helping her. And I still think that she looked radically different in the final scene of the movie that felt... It's not only that the scene, she looked different in it, it was a scene that surprised me that was in the movie. Like, the movie could have ended a scene earlier, in my opinion, and not even included that scene, but it included that scene, and I thought, well, why did they put that here, really? And then the reason I thought about it was to kind of redemption and potential sequel.
Yeah, I think they called a reshoot, and she's like, you're telling me this now? The doctor says it'll be 6 more weeks until I look normal. No, we don't have 6 weeks. We got to do it now. Okay. Well, let's make her hair crazy and maybe people won't notice the rest.
Yeah, it's possible that all of that happened. And now that we have another 15 minutes, I'm going to do another review that I forgot to do.
Oh yeah, you said you were going to do a surprise one.
This one is like, I've suffered this week. Really, really suffered. Nobody appreciates me. Let's see if I can find this.
If it makes you feel better, you've made us suffer along with you.
So it's this movie. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second. Are you ready?
We're ready. Yep.
Now or never.
I'm going to shock you now. I saw the drama with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson.
No way.
I saw it. I saw this movie.
You broke down?
Well, the thing is like I have a theater next to where I live, and I have like a pass where I can see movies. So I was just trying to find stuff. This movie actually is one of the most successful. Okay, there's some caveats here. Relatively speaking, it's one of the only movies that has actually made money at the box office this year. I think it had like, a $25 million budget or something like that. Maybe 25. I don't know. I think something like that. And it made over 100, maybe 100 and something million. So it's considered a success. You know what I'm saying? Like, if nothing else, it's a movie that understood that it's going to do like more of a low key thing, but because probably of Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, it probably made some money. So I was just wondering, is this like an awful movie? And I was looking at the scores and everything, and I went to see it, and I have my review. Are you guys ready?
We're ready. Yeah. I can't
so
wait.
Basically, what?
Well, as I say, now I'll know if I have to go see this movie depending on your review. I'm looking forward to it. Yep.
So
I don't think so.
Basically what this movie is that it starts off as something almost like it'll be a rom-com. Robert Pattinson, he sees Zendaya in a coffee shop. Yeah, he tries to hit on her or whatever. They kind of go on a date. They become like romantically involved. It seemed like things are going well, and then I'm going to kind of talk freely about this because who gives a shit, right?
Yeah, I agree
You
with
weren't going to
that.
see this. Fuck
I'm
it.
not gonna see. Fuck it.
You
Yeah.
know,
That's my
nobody's going to see.
wife. My wife, no, she wouldn't want to go see this either.
Nobody's going to go see this, so I can just say it. And not
Yeah,
maybe
just
the
say it.
one lady even the one lady that watches this stream is not going to go. So in any case, Robert Pattinson, he things get more serious, and they decide that they're going to get married and all this kind of stuff. They're hanging out with like another couple one night, and they're drinking a lot and preparing like to which catering they'll do for the wedding and whatever. They drink a lot, and each of them kind of confess like the worst thing they've done, and they say like kind of bad things they've done. And she basically says that when she was like 14 or something like that, she planned to do delete people at school,
No way.
like deleting a lot of people at school with like a mass deletion. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know. I get you. I got you. Yep.
No, and she says like, I already brought like, my father who's a cop, like I brought, his weapon and all the whatever it is, and I was thinking I was already going to do it, but then she has like a last minute sort of change of heart, like, and then not only that, almost to cover her tracks, she becomes like quote unquote an activist against, uh, against something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She joins like
Yeah, she wants
every town for gun safety or something.
She wants to control James Gunn, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay. Yep.
James Gunn likes control.
Yeah. He can't be let loose in the DC universe. You can't have that many James Gunns out there. You just need should only be one James Gunn.
James Gunn control. That's what you need in the DC universe. In any case, so basically, that's how she covers her tracks, basically, and she says this whole story. And after she says it, everything kind of changes. Her friend that's going to be her maid of honor doesn't see her the same way. Robert Pattinson is supposed to marry her. He's having second thoughts, and it starts making them all kind of behave weird and stupid, each of them in their own way, and it goes like in a lot of like weird different directions. Now, the thing is that this movie, I think, actually had some kind of minimal potential. The idea of like you want to get marry someone and you discover something dark about her, that could continue to take a lot of dark twists and turns throughout the movie, leading to some kind of interesting climax, maybe even like almost like a horror one. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that you could do with it that could be really intriguing, and I was hoping that that's where the movie was going. At the end, though, it felt like just I don't know if they were trying to make it like some like creepy rom-com or what they were exactly going for, like dark humor. I'll say this: the movie is $28 million. You're not going to get like crazy set pieces or like the most elaborate thing, relatively speaking, for whatever the budget was. And I assume that this is a movie that's supposed to appeal more to ladies as well. I don't really think it was supposed to appeal to me. I guess for whatever it's supposed to be, if there's a genre like this that women like it wasn't necessarily the worst movie I've ever seen in terms of like, I think Robert Pattinson, I don't really rate Zendaya as an actress. I think that out of the roles she could do, this one was one that was more suitable for her. I still don't think she's a great actress. Robert Pattinson, I used to not think he's a good actor, and I think he wasn't. Over the years, he's improved some. So I think that in this movie, if either of those had to carry it, I feel like Robert Pattinson carries it with some interesting acting and some interesting scenes and ideas. But at the end of the day, the movie is nothing to write home about. Like, if you're a dude, I wouldn't even recommend it. I would say that, like, if you're a woman, maybe I'd give it like a barely passing grade. Like, just,
Was there a big twist at the end, or anything that subverted your expectations, or it's just?
I was expecting it wasn't like I thought there would be a cool twist at the end where like if things become dark and it goes off the rails in some crazy way. if that would have happened, I would have given it a higher score. I would have been like, okay, this is really going off the rails here in a cool way. But instead, it kind of, went safe at the end. I don't know. There was another thing also that I thought that like Robert Pattinson's character was I don't know how to say it. Was a bit of a pussy.
Okay.
Like also, the other thing is that I understand that it's, like, terrible that, like Zendaya at this point is 30 years old, and she says in the movie that she's 30 or whatever, and I don't know if she's really 30, but in the movie she's 30. Robert Pattinson is already, like, I don't know how old he is, probably in his 30s as well, if not 40. So, neither of them are, like, 3 years old. The fact that when she was a little girl, like, relatively speaking, she wanted to do something bad and didn't do something bad, yes, that's, like, a terrible thing that somebody thought of that and they didn't end up doing it, but you know, you, I
Why
don't
would you
know
admit that though? Why would you admit that? Wouldn't you keep that dark I mean, I stole some like candy out of Caldor's once by accident because I put it in my pocket and I walked out and I forgot. I'd say something like that, not like I was gonna do this, mass deletion somewhere. I mean, that's something maybe you keep to yourself.
the thing is that the idea is that supposedly she got so drunk that she said it even though she wasn't supposed to. But I think
Okay.
that even if you're drunk, you would probably think twice before saying something like that. The other thing is that if let's say you said something like this and there's easy ways the next day to say, I was just kidding. I of course would never. There was ways to
Yeah.
backtrack. There were so many ways that she could have just cleaned up the mess herself. And not only that, uh, there wasn't like something doesn't ring true about it. Even with all the drunk or whatever, she could have just mentioned it differently. She could have
Yeah.
just said, "Oh, I thought about it. I thought of doing
The
something bad, and I
bullied at
didn't." I
school
mean,
and yeah.
if you zoom out and you just think as your kid you were angry, you thought something stupid and you didn't do anything, she could have easily gone there. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
because you
something.
blurt out stuff sometimes too. You obviously forget, like, "I wish you were dead" or something. You don't mean it,
It,
but just
it didn't
especially
ring
as a
true.
kid.
It didn't ring true to me, and also like I don't know. It didn't ring true. The announcement and the way people reacted didn't really ring true to me. If you just kind of go with it for whatever it's supposed to be, and I take into consideration it's like a 20 something $1 million movie. They didn't,
Yeah,
there aren't 70 dinosaurs walking around here. It's built on the fact that it has like, some kind of story. It does whatever it's supposed to do. And I am a big supporter of movies that are not costing like a gazillion dollars to make. I'm a supporter of that. You know what I mean? I wish there would be a
yeah,
ton
Yeah,
of movies that only had 20 something million and then we get a lot of movies like that. I would be more happy than them giving like $300 million for this and
yeah,
200
that's
million.
still ridiculous. That's 3 times Godzilla -1. Like, yeah, I get it. It's only 30 million, but think about that's still for a movie that's like two people in like it's an absurd amount of money still.
Oh, it's
I'm sure
still
most
I
of it went to
okay.
their salaries.
I'm sure that did. I'll agree with you on the one thing. This movie probably could have gotten done for like, if it was the guy from Godzilla 1-1 making it, he probably would have made it for like 2 million.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But and probably they could have made this for a cheaper budget. But at least it wasn't like 100 million.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that like I do encourage movies if all the movies, even though we know Godzilla -1 costs like 12 million or 15 million, whatever it is, if all the movies were to be made for like 20 something million, I would be much happier just in general.
Yeah. Well, the one good thing out of this is that this there's an article, this cements Zendaya's role as an indie queen, which means, yeah, she can really only make money if she's in really tiny movies getting underpaid. I'm totally happy with that. Like,
No, this was a good movie for her. You know what I mean? Like I when I see her as Mary Jane or whatever that is, that kind of annoys me. But when I see her in this thing, this is up her alley.
yeah,
Just some
yeah, she
weirdo,
can,
quirky lady girl thing. Do it. You know what I
yeah,
yeah.
mean?
take all the indie roles you want. Just stay out of our shit, lady. Yeah, I'm
You
good
go,
with that.
girl. Yeah, you do
Yeah.
this indie stuff.
Yeah, stay away from Dune, Spider-Man, any of the big. Yeah, go
Well,
do
she's
your what's your boyfriend's name? The Kristen Stewart. Yeah. Go take all those Kristen Stewart roles, but stay away from like our movies.
Well, she's one of the biggest things going now. So yeah, unfortunately,
I know.
We gotta,
We're stuck
she
with
makes
her,
money
yeah.
at the box office, and definitely not my pick for MJ. But
too bad Hollywood doesn't realize that if it wasn't her in it, they would have made another $150 million per movie.
Well, plus she's married to Spider-Man, so she's going to be in the movie, right? So,
well, I'm about done with that guy too. I got to tell you. So
this felt to me almost like it could have been like a kind of those weirdo, like a weirdo French movie or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't. It went in a lot of strange directions. Here and there was an idea that I didn't mind, but overall, I don't know. Like I can't completely bash it and say that it wasn't like competently made for whatever it was supposed to be. The only thing is I'm not even sure what it was supposed to be. Weird dark humor thing, wasn't especially funny. I mean, I wasn't completely bored, but mainly because I thought something more interesting would happen. So I don't know. It's not a 77 or a 78 for me, that's for sure. Like I said that about Devil Wears Prada and about this, with both of them got like 77 or 78. I don't think that either of those movies are 77, 78. But Devil Wears Prada, maybe you can convince me to give it something in the low 70s, just like, because it's at least serviceable. And I think that the Zendaya one, low 60s at best. Like maybe I let it like get a passing grade. I would struggle with this because there's a part of me that wants to fail it, but I don't want to be like that John Roca guy that just like, because of his feelings or sentiments, he doesn't, give an honest judgment of it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Yeah, and this is probably do really well on streaming too. I'm getting like
it's probably going to do. This is going to make money for whoever was involved. They did the right thing. They have her like in a wedding thing with Robert Pattinson. This knew what audience it was going for. It was budgeted correctly, and it's going to get attention from the audience in theaters, and then it's going to get attention in streaming, and it's all going to work out fine for them. So on a business level, I think this was good work, but just could have been probably a much better movie than it was.
Yeah, anything with Zendaya and it could have been a better movie by not having Zendaya in it. And one day Hollywood will understand that.
She has a lot of social media followers. I think for a movie like this, some ladies went out to see it. This was a good thing for her to do. This movie was the right thing for her. Like you've said, I prefer not Spider-Man and not the other thing. I don't think that this was a bad thing for her to do.
Yeah, but she's not a good actor. She's still a plank of wood, man. There's a handful of indie actors.
She was,
like Jenna Ortega would have killed it in this, and probably would have grossed twice as much money. Like she's like really a good job for her is like asking, "Do you want fries with that?" That's a good job for that one. So I mean, honestly, I just hate. Yeah, I'd rather have her off in the indie land than be in our stuff, but really I'd rather like never have to look at her again.
Definitely not a fan. Yep.
Well, now like she even ruins now when I'm like working on my deck and I see all those planks of wood, I just see Zendaya everywhere. The only good side is I get to hammer nails into her.
I don't know what all that means, but here at Price of Reason Studios,
planks of wood. Get it? She's a plank of wood.
Yes, so. I get it. Here at Price of Reason Studios, we do not agree with the opinions of our guests and don't take any responsibility for any of them.
Yeah, please do not harm any planks of wood.
Yes,
do not harm any planks.
What they
of
do
wood.
to you?
Yes,
they didn't do not anything to you. They're just laying there. Come on.
You can put nails on Zendaya if you're, doing a mani-pedi, but do not hammer nails into Zendaya. No,
of course.
Just saying, man. Wherever I look, there she is.
She's kind of like the Pedro Pascal. She's everywhere now. That and I did actually watch. Someone's mentioning Euphoria, and I did actually watch that first season. She was pretty interesting in that. My daughter was like, "Dad, that's not a show for you. Why are you watching that?"
I'll give you
Big Sir Rivers mentioned. Yeah, she's
yeah. Well,
and she was in the finale when she's singing she does like this musical number. She's pretty damn good in it, I have to say, in that. But you get anyone that's overexposed, you just don't want to see them, even if they're good or bad.
No, I have the solution for you. I know what the problem is. Zendaya, I'll tell you where I found out what her main problem was. There was a movie called Challengers, which was a disgusting, terrible movie. Never watched that movie. But the reason why that movie is interesting to me is that it jumps back and forth through time. There's scenes that it shows that she's a teenager and scenes that it shows that she's like supposed to be maybe in her 30s or I don't know what. And they're like jumping forward and backward in time where she's young, old, quote unquote, young, old. Now, in all the scenes that she's like a teenage girl, I actually think her acting is better because I sort of believe her as this quirky teenage girl. The second that they show her as like a grown woman where she needs to show more maturity and depth in her acting, don't buy any of her scenes. And I think that that's the reason why in Euphoria it's worked until now. Goofy, weird, quirky, strange teen, distressed, depressed, whatever. That is probably her wheelhouse. The thing is, she's already like almost 30, so the weird teenage thing is not really working. And the mature adult woman, she doesn't really do that well. She's not convincing in that role. That's where I think a lot of the problems start.
And here I was thinking Euphoria worked because of Sydney Sweeney being nude.
I'm sure that helped.
Yeah. She was nude in that? I didn't I don't remember that.
Your
loves
son,
being nude, yeah.
Why are you watching this, Dad? 2 words. Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
She's not just nude, man. She is nasty. Yeah, this like
I don't recall that. I don't know. Just the blank in my memory there. Yeah, I'm pleading the fifth there.
This season, she's like dressed up like a dog. Like,
wasn't she like there's a dog scene or something? Yeah, there was a dog scene or something.
Yeah. Like I said, nasty.
Yeah.
It should be number 1 on Nielsen this week, I'm imagining. I don't know.
Well, there's some creepy storylines in that show. I mean, just that's a crazy show. And then, of course, who was the McDreamy? Who was the actor's name? Just passed away from ALS. Eric Dane.
Yeah.
Very sad. Yeah. So
he's McSteamy.
Yeah.
McSteamy. I mixed up McSteamy and McDreamy. I apologize.
That's Patrick Dempsey. That's McDreamy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact we know this, I'm not really proud of.
I did watch the first season of Grey's Anatomy with my wife.
Never watched a minute of that shit, but I already know because over the years I read enough articles, so I know which one is McSteamy and which one is McDreamy. But honestly, it's a piece of shit show. But never watch it. Never watch that shitty one with George Clooney. Never watch Grey's Anatomy. I don't want whatever Saint Elsewhere. Fuck all those movies, those shows.
But here we go with the double standard again. You have this show Euphoria, all these women doing mad ass crazy stuff. Nothing. You have a fictional show, Adolescence, 1 season, and every real teenage kid in Britain essentially goes to jail and is assumed to be a criminal. It's so messed up. Such a double standard. They're actually making social policy in England based on a fictional television show.
Yeah, I didn't watch that either.
I didn't watch that one. Yeah.
No,
would you watch a medical show with Doc McCoy? Doc McCoy running a hospital from Star Trek? I'd watch that, right?
Out of sheer curiosity, I'd want to see what that is. But honestly, he if it ends up just being a run-of-the-mill one, if it's not in space where he's doing like cool things with like aliens and stuff, if it's just like in on Earth, like in San Francisco, I don't need it. You can have it.
Yeah, I'm afraid that Star Trek ended in 2005, and if you're looking to see anything else, you only got to look backward, not forward for that. It's not happening.
Are we doing a live review of Starfleet Academy season 2, the opener?
I'm waiting for that. I'm itching
that was
for
a
that
fun
show.
No, well, they're trying to dump it on Netflix. I'm not sure it's going to air.
I don't know. I haven't seen yet that somebody dumped it on Netflix. I know that there's the rumors, but it's a lot of hearsay. I haven't seen anything to substantiate that.
Yeah. Listen, the Ellisons pull their heads out of their. There's no reason this show should be on whatsoever, especially if they need to protect and they hope to get something out of the Star Trek IP going forward. The worst thing in the world, the worst decision they could do is to air the second season of that show. 40,000 viewers per episode. My God. Like, Nerdrotic gets more viewers.
It's actually going to damage the brand even more, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, there were a few reviews for that show that I did better than the show.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not Nerdrotic. Nerdrotic has 1.25 million followers. Yeah.
No, I don't think it's ever going to see the light of day, but it might. But my suspect and my hopes coincide. So I got to say, if I put down a few bucks on Poly Market, it's going to be, we're never seeing it.
So, Loyosh asks, when did we all become apologetics for prices swearing? What happened?
I don't know.
Well, did I not say sorry, Sean, or whatever? I don't know. I don't know what they're referring to. But in any case, it was great hanging out with everybody. The thing is, usually the professor does a list of everybody that's here. And unfortunately, the professor isn't here. So I don't know who's here. Now, I know that sounds shitty.
I've got some from Rumble I can do.
Okay, read some Rumble.
So we have Loyish, we have Noel 2024, we have Dude Bro Seth 420, we have Born to Be Down, we have Elizabeth Quince. Hello, Elizabeth. We have, let's see, Radical Badger. I like that. That's a good name. We have Pure Blood Based Berserker. We have Istophobos. I don't know who that asshole is.
Kick him out.
Yeah, really, really kick. And let's see. I think that about wraps up the Rumble side there.
I can do the YouTube side for you if you want.
Yeah,
top fans. We've got Drew Chang, Kelly Hans, Core Behringer, 9879, Lucy Myas, The Skeleton, Mr. Ceruzzo, Carlos Delfino, and I apologize for pronunciation screw-ups, Dustin D2, Reverend D. Norman Bates, Jonathan Conroy, The Real Dragon, Badfoot, Joe Darkness, Tony Illes, Marks 47. Oh, I just went to get new glasses today, too. Last year, 5520. Grand identifies as white. John Davidson, Ron Donferrio, Bubba Doom, Marla Harindo, Andrew Seaton, Mur Rockstro, Putin's Cat, Mark D with a C who can't read, E. Clay Thomason, Professor R2, Istophobos, Gavin Unit, Gabe Levine, Lord Skywalker, Tim Hayes, Strogun, Kodo Rob 22, Big Sir, and the real Headcase #1 top fan on YouTube. And again, I apologize for that bad pronunciation and wearing the old glasses.
Okay, I'm trying to share a link to your thing. Hold on 1 second. I actually am trying both links.
And Lord Corey just showed up. Hell.
We out here. Lord Corey, usually he says, we out here. It's a really long story. Trust me.
Okay. So what I miss? He's asking. Yep, you missed a really good show. Go rewind. Yep.
So I think I shared your link. Did people get it?
Thank you. Yeah, there. See the Rumble link. Thank you so much. Yep.
But did they get the other link too? The YouTube one?
Yep. And the YouTube's on the YouTube side. Thank you. Yep. Appreciate that, everyone. Yep.
And now wait a second.
Pick up some subs. Yep.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
If I botched your name, you have to sub to me.
Let's see for a second. There's something else I wanted to share. It's
Thank you, dude, bro.
And this would be on YouTube. This is where you find Istophobos.
Yay.
I tried to do it on YouTube too, but I don't see it on YouTube for some reason.
It
I see
popped
it.
on.
It's there.
It popped on
Okay.
YouTube. Yep, your X account. Yep.
Great. And the technology of the Night Owl on Rumble. That was really, really some next level stuff. So yeah, it was great hanging out with everybody. Thank you to our guests. First of all, thank you to the professor who had something to attend to, which is why he had to step away. And of course, there's Phobos and Mark D with a C, who are both friends of the channel and VIPs around here. So thank you for hanging out with me. And as you've both done recently, and even before that, Phobos, often jumps in, and we always appreciate him. So thank you both for being here. Make sure to check out what Phobos and Mark D with the C are doing on their own channels and social media. And I guess that's it. Well, we'll see you here Tuesday, because every Tuesday and Thursday it's the Night Owl at 11:45 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Good night.
Right.
Bye.